Okay, here
Or
we
2
go.
months next
But
week. So.
One in each
Oh,
town.
Alrighty, let's get started.
At the same time.
All right, we have called this meeting to order at 6:30. We have a quorum. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, do we have any amendments to the agenda?
I had a question and that may, oh, no, it's there, never mind.
Comments.
Yeah, Calvin is not gonna come in tonight. He has to get additional information regarding the request for expenditure out of reserve funds. So we're gonna move that to next meeting it's the end of the month anyways, so the board, I'm sorry, the directors of each I'm losing my brain.
Department
right?
heads.
Department heads, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, John. We'll be here anyways. So under new business, we will not have item. Where is it, Jerry? Oh, has it already been removed?
6B,
Six
is
B.
it the front end loader?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's for debt service transfer.
No,
That's the
for
front.
B.
6B is.
That's
the
6B.
6D.
front loader.
Wow,
6.
I'm losing my brain.
Is in Bravo.
All right, so we'll remove that.
Uh,
Alrighty.
A question on the agenda,
Mhm.
would it be possible during the, or the intent of the timeline, the budget timeline to discuss, someone who I think is here to discuss that issue tonight, but the possibility of moving, budget approval to the vote versus the town meeting?
When
It
you,
may be too much to do tonight, but to consider it, so.
oh, you mean like a ballot vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to that have to be a separate issue because that's a biggie.
Big discussion.
Yeah. But we can definitely put it as a potential future topic because we've got some feedback around that.
Yeah, there's been a couple of people.
Could make a warrant article on your, just tell me.
Yeah, if it makes
Yeah.
sense. I mean, there's.
Yeah,
challenges
no,
to it.
I actually would really love to discuss that more. But we'd want to make sure that was its own item and advertised in advance because I would imagine that would solicit public feedback that we'd want to make sure
I
we
agree.
make space for. Any other amendments to the agenda? All right, any public comment? Jill?
How do we do it now? 'Cause you sit at a table.
Well,
So-
we usually just have the person sit at the chair right here.
Okay. Right here?
It's okay. Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, this microphone picks things up pretty well, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jill Gaston-Gay, Stackpole Road, and I'm here as the co-chair of the budget committee. In early December, Joe and Josh met with Milton and myself to review the timeline for the budget process. At that meeting, I asked if the budget committee could receive an invitation at the table when the select board reviews the budget with the department heads. The reason I requested this is because about 5 to 6 years ago, maybe longer due to my sense of time, we had a joint select board budget committee meeting. It dissolved the separation of parties and everyone had a sense that we were working together, not against one another. It also led to a better understanding of the budget because we were able to ask questions as they arose. Our questions often triggered a question from someone on the select board and vice versa. And interestingly enough, it was one of the only times I recall that the select board and the budget committee went to town meeting with the same budget recommendations. I know how intimidating it is to sit in front of a large group of people. In my opinion, the public works and fire department heads at the time did an amazing job, but I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. If the select board doesn't feel having the entire budget committee at the table is wise, then I request that you consider 1 to 2 representatives from the budget committee. We would not ask policy questions, but only ask financial questions if they were to arise. Thank you for bringing this discussion to the board this evening, and I and the budget committee appreciate your consideration on this idea. Unless you think you may have questions for me when you discuss this tonight, I may elect to recuse myself from eat dinner while you guys talk.
Well, what's for dinner? That's the big question.
My husband made,
There you
he's
go.
amazing that way.
Thank you, Jill. We're gonna hop right into this right now. The budget is the next thing on our agenda is on old business after we approve our meeting minutes. So, we'll be right into it. So it'll be the first thing we work on if you want to stick around. Okay,
Sure.
cool. Any other public comment? All right, and seeing no other public comment, thank you, Jill. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 27th?
So moved.
Motion by John. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Deb, any questions on the motion? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? Unanimous. Old business. We're gonna talk about the budget timeline, and we should have that in our packet here. I think that this year what we're seeing is that obviously it's a new process because we're working off of a fiscal year rather than a calendar year. And so the board decided that we wanted to lay out the process ahead of time, and keep it really transparent and keep people informed. Josh and I had a little meeting with Jill and Milt from the budget committee to go over the first draft, and the feedback we had received from them was that they were really appreciative of this process being laid out this far in advance because it helps with scheduling. But also in the past, it's kind of been a, hey, next month, pull together your committee and have some meetings. And this gives everyone a really good idea of what's going on. So even if there's not engagement between the two committees till later in the process, everyone sees what the process is going to look like. It's also helpful for us to know because we have our meetings scheduled here. And so just to quickly go over it, some of the things that we had talked about differently this year would be rather than waiting on an invitation from the budget committee to have a select board representative attend and then answer questions, if the budget committee members decide to ask the questions, we wanted to say, hey, really, this is the select board budget. It's the budget committee's job to comment on the select board's budget. We will pull together an event where we ask the budget committee to come in and ask us all their questions. One thing that we discussed was moving up the timeline of when we provide the budget committee documents. In the past, a sticking point last year was members wanting to see the warrant language rather than just the budget numbers. We wouldn't have that till later in the budget season. And so instead, the budget committee members had said, the chair and the vice chair said that it would be fine to get that the numbers ahead of the warrant language, knowing that the warrant language is really just putting a sentence in front of the budget items, and that it's a bit of a different process now that we're not each article stating where those funds are coming from. It's all just raise and appropriate, as opposed to like moving around between accounts, as we've made this a more simple process. And so does anyone have any questions on what we have in front of you right here?
We also, I think, talked about, I'm sorry,
Good.
the timeline between when we present the budget to the budget committee and when they have to have their final vote.
Yeah.
And it's a quick turnaround, but doable, I think.
Yeah. So the timeline we have here is we're giving the budget committee the documents on the 16th of April. And then on April 28th, the select board is going to do a budget presentation with the budget committee. And so that gives this budget committee from the 16th of April to the 28th of April to have their meetings and deliberate in whatever manner they feel necessary, prepare questions, prepare comments, and meet with us on April 28th. And then it would allow them another week and a half, 2 weeks before they have to provide their committee recommendations to the select board, which would be on May 7th. And from there, the select board would have our final review of the budget on May 12th. So I think that's a good process because it gives them opportunity to work through it, ask us questions, go back, kind of collaborate on whatever elements they want to collaborate on, send us the recommendations, and then we can consider their recommendations ahead of our acceptance of our budget or warrant language. So
And what is the date of the meeting that Jill was referencing in her opening remarks?
yeah,
With
so when
department head?
Josh and I had met, Jill and Milt had referenced potentially asking the budget committee to be part of the meetings that we have ahead of our presentation of documents to the budget committee. So if you look at 310, 324, and 414, that's when we are going to hear from the town manager, hear from the department heads, and then 414 is when the select board will be getting the finalized budget. And so, and Jill, would it be correct in saying that your ask was to be part of one of those meetings or all three of those meetings?
When we discussed it as a committee, we thought with the department heads,
I would have said, oh, sorry.
but,
Has your committee met?
well, sorry, when Milton and I were
Oh,
talking
okay.
about it, we were talking about it this weekend, trying to remember what it was. He recalled it being with the department heads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I didn't have a very good recollection, to be honest. with you.
Yeah.
My recommendation would be that it would be the 3/24 meeting, so that we're part of the meeting, the first meeting with the department heads, to hear the presentation, to ask questions.
Mhm.
And then the next meeting, the department heads are back, where we're talking about what our final budget's gonna be,
Mhm.
which is, I think, where we need to focus.
Mhm.
And if there's anything in the interim, that's a good 3 weeks. They can, send us those questions or those
Mhm.
concerns, what they have, and then we can raise them. But I think that meeting where we finalize the budget is something that needs to be for us to focus
Mhm.
on. So, my recommendation was going to be that we invite, I would say the entire committee, but sort of maybe take a break at some point and allow them to come up with some questions, or something to ask the department heads, or to ask us to ask the department,
Mhm.
something, so that, if there's an issue, so the department heads don't feel overwhelmed. Which, Jill mentioned is a feeling that, I don't know, may have happened in the past. But I think there's ways to work around it where we can work together so that, they can raise questions and we can raise questions. Because I think, my recollection from that meeting, I don't think it was that long ago, when it happened, was that, we were kind of going back and forth with questions, and it led to a good discussion. So I think it's important, and I do agree with Jill and Milt that, it's a good idea to have. How we do it, if we just sort of round table it together as sort of a workshop type thing, or, say, hey, this we're gonna discuss, we're gonna discuss other business while you go somewhere and chat and come up with some questions to ask, and then we do it that way. To me, it doesn't really matter as long, but I think opening up the discussion, is a good idea and something that should be done.
Any other comments or questions?
My thoughts would be, I don't like the idea of the entire budget committee, no offense to it, but that puts 13 or 14 people. And everybody's likely to have an opinion or a question that would drag it out, and maybe we lose the focus. So to all my old friends on the budget committee, it's nothing personal, but I feel that Jill and Milt, as the chair and vice chair, are more than capable of asking those questions and bringing them forward. The other thing is, for everybody, town people and otherwise, the whole process of the budget is gonna be televised.
Mm.
So, looking at it, watching the video in advance, should help bring questions to that meeting,
Mhm.
So it wasn't necessary that they could do it, they could pass them to the chair and vice chair. And if we need to take a break and have the others, like Josh said, step aside if new questions come up. But I think 14 people as a whole boatload, plus the department heads, that's just,
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of big meetings, I guess.
So I think having budget committee meet with department heads is jumping the gun a little bit, because the budget committee's charge is to provide a recommendation on the select board budget. And that first meeting with the the department heads, that's the department heads presenting a draft to us. And that's where they're supposed to get feedback from the select board on a policy direction of, we'd like to see spending decrease, we'd like to see these elements addressed a little bit more fine tuned and stuff like that. So I think that's a little preemptive for questions because it's still in a draft format. And so I don't think it's really wise to involve the budget committee until we have a final budget developed by the select board, because it's really the select board needs to develop a budget, and then the budget committee needs to provide comments on the select board's budget. The charge really isn't for the select board and budget committee to develop a budget together. That's not the nature of the two entities. As for like having a meeting, joint meeting, and then having them go off and deliberate, well, as an elected board, if they deliberate, that has to be a televised or public meeting, so that adds a challenge. So it's not like we could have a split event like that without having to go through the logistics of two public settings and things like that. And so I feel that it's sufficient at the point of involving the budget committee after we've actually finalized our budget. I feel like before that would be inappropriate personally. So
wait, just can you clarify, because here we have so that will be after the 24th.
yeah, so what we have proposed here would be we as a select board finalize our budget on 4/14 and then forward the documents to the budget committee. The budget committee has from 4/16 to 4/28 to deliberate, and then they come to the select board meeting and they can ask the select board will run the meeting and then open it up for the budget committee to ask the select board any questions about the select board's budget. Because at that point, it is the budget of the select board. It's not the town manager's budget. It's not the department head's budget. It's the select board budget. And that's where we're now in the ownership seat there. And then at those meetings, when we have those meetings, Jerry is obviously present. And so if the select board can't answer questions, we will have Jerry, likely Mark, the accountant, to defer to if we needed department heads there. If Jerry couldn't answer the questions, he could check with them. But I feel like the process should be the budget committee asking the select board questions as opposed to going through questions with department heads.
I feel that's fine. I agree. I agree with you, John, also regarding the amount of people.
The only, I guess, if I've made it understood there, what you're saying is the joint meeting would be on the 28th of April? Or did I miss?
Yeah. And that would be where the select board, we invite the budget committee to come and say, hey, you've had your 2 weeks to prepare, bring all the questions you've all gathered in your deliberations. The select board can answer all of those questions. From there, the budget committee then has another almost 2 weeks to make their recommendations based off the feedback they get from us. Because at that point, the select board has our budget and the questions are being asked about our budget, not about drafts of a budget that department heads are still working on.
Yeah, I think that would just be about a week. It'd be 9 days. Because if it's due on the 30th, which, I mean, I would defer to the,
Well, and that's part of the reason why we're starting this conversation so early, is that we want to make sure that everyone's well aware of the timeline and the expectation, so you can schedule far in advance, and the budget committee can schedule far in advance to accommodate that schedule as well.
So I disagree. I don't see an issue with inviting the budget committee. I think their questions are limited to not to policy, but to the numbers. And I think those questions are important because they're looking at it slightly different from us, and it's questions that we may not raise. I don't think it does any harm. I think that giving them a week or so to come up with questions and then raise it, and then we have to have a decision in 2 weeks. It limits our ability. I think that the questions have raised that they've raised in the past have changed our minds on things, and we've changed budgets after those meetings. I think the timeline's short, and I think everybody understands that this is a presentation to us for us to make a final decision, but there are questions about what is this for? Where do these numbers come from? that are basic that, you know, we should probably be asking, and if we're not, they might think of these questions, and I don't see the harm in it. I think it raises goodwill between us and them, and to me, there's just no downside, and I think everyone can understand there's a difference between the budget presented to us, which we then change if we want and add policies or take away things, and the budget that we finally come up with. So,
I tend to agree with Josh because the way I'm seeing this is having been on the budget committee recently, I think they have a lot to offer. And it would keep, we've already said not the policy issues about whatever that may be. So I kind of think the 14th of April, where the select board has kind of worked our way down to a, final draft, because on that 14th, we're gonna finalize the budget.
We'll be finalizing our budget at the end of that meeting.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm fine with, because there may be something they say that, here's the one reason I want to make sure that we've got as many people incorporate too, is I guess we need the town's input as much as possible before that. But also, if you look at the goat screw that was Lisbon, where everybody just nobody paid attention to it. And I think our budget committee is another set of neutral eyes, whatever the right term is, to look at it. Not that Jerry or Mark or the guys are gonna make a mistake, but somehow Lisbon managed to have a $2 million error. And I think having people look at it and question it, and then when the town votes, if we forward something that's different than the budget committee, at least it's been well beaten out and chance to change it. So long story to say, I kind of favor the 14th.
I think that we have to think about the policy here, though. So the budget committee's charge is to comment on the select board's budget. So if we're asking them to comment on the budget before it's finalized, we're now moving outside of their committee's charge. And that moves into more of a policy development role, which is not the budget committee's role. It's the select board's role to develop the policy, develop the budget, and then the budget committee adds their comments to it. And so if we're having them ask questions at the time with our department heads, that's inserting them earlier in the process. And so that's where my concern, deliberately inserting them earlier in the
Yeah.
process, which is outside of the charge of the budget committee.
And just to piggyback on that, I mean, and I know that this is my first experience with budgeting, but they're going to have their say again anyway. So I don't understand why to have, like what you said, John, so many voices in the room, for instance, the department heads are the ones who are reporting to us. So shouldn't it just be us and them at that point? And the budget committee, again, can watch and they can have their input and say, and they can also always email us separately. So I don't understand what the big deal is not having them there.
I'm looking at it the other way around. I'm not sure why we're pushing back so hard, because they could cut. They do have the charge, and they've in the past offered alternatives. And so I think if there's an opportunity to ask the question is, I'm hoping we're not talking about, hey, why do you have $6,000 in screwdrivers on here? If you talk to an old timer, there was a time they asked the school board to count the number of pencils they had.
Right. And so it could just end up what could be an hour. I mean, I'm just throwing numbers out there. An hour conversation, we can push it into a 4-hour conversation. I don't see the point of that. That's not common sense to me. I think it makes more sense just to have the department heads have a conversation, finalize what they are telling us, and the budget committee is still there. We're not kicking them out. They're just they're not giving their input at that moment. They'll give their input later. So
and to your point, Rebecca, the budget committee is not in the chain of command of the department heads. So the department heads report to the town manager, who reports to the select board. And so to me, it seems inappropriate to then take a committee who is never elected, given the charge to ask questions of department heads, inserting them into the process, especially when the budget's not even finalized. So when you talk about like transparency and confusion, you have people asking questions about a budget draft that they're not even going to be commenting on, because the question could be, why are you going with this number instead of this number? But by the time we finalize that budget, that budget line could be completely looking different. So it's
Yeah.
not really the charge of the committee to respond until the select board has a budget.
But
And so this would be greatly expanding the authority of the budget committee, which does not have any sort of statutory backing in the town's policies to give them that authority.
but you're
Well,
taking it
there's-
away from them.
We're not taking
Tradi-
anything away
But
from
they
them. They
didn't
have
have it.
zero authority in this.
Well, traditionally,
Traditionally, and what they have for authority are two very different things.
I know, but right now, the expectation is to do what we've done, when I was on the budget committee, have done in the past, which is to look at it, to question it, and if disagree, to present their own.
That's fair, but it's not, I think bringing them in this early in the process takes away from what our role is with the department heads.
Well, we're gonna take their, before we finalize it on the 14th, I think that's what it is, we would take, they would ask a question. And we could use that as, hey, we missed that, or we agree with you that we would cut that line, or whatever it may be.
That's not the process. We don't take their recommendations ahead of finalizing our budget. We have to finalize our budget, then ask them for recommendations, not
Well,
ask them,
yeah,
what do you
there's-
think we should do with the budget?
In the past, we have. Because there's
That's
been times where it's come back to the select board. And again, I'm talking tradition or an expectation. So, I mean, I think I don't think we're throwing things way off if they ask questions, have another set of eyes look at it on the 14th. And then it may be that, we hear you, but we're not gonna take $100,000 out of the Union Church is gone, but whatever it may be. So I think that getting them involved, another set of eyes, we don't demean it, they were elected to serve in that position.
Well, not in the capacity you're describing. They're elected to comment on the select board's finalized budget.
For a board that spends so much time at every one of its meetings saying, so people at home understand, so you understand, so everybody understands, to not allow another committee to ask questions so that there's additional feedback and conversation, to me seems backwards and completely against what I keep hearing at these meetings. We spend so much time explaining things for people at home. And now we want people to come in so they can ask their questions and inform our decision making. Because that's frankly what it does, because we come to these meetings and I don't think in the 4 or so years I've been on this committee that we've had more than maybe a handful of people that weren't on the budget committee come in and say anything in public in public comment about our budget. This is an opportunity for us to sort of get those eyes at an early stage while we're making our budget. And I don't see a harm in it, especially when we spend all this time talking about, so people understand. This is exactly what that is. And I'm the first one to say, if people at home don't understand, they need to ask questions. And this is what that is. And I think it's informative, and helpful. And I can't think of a year when there were suggestions that we hadn't at least considered from the budget committee, that we haven't at least considered and talked about when making our final budget. And frankly, getting it done at an earlier stage, to me, it is helpful. It's informative. It guides us so we know what people are thinking. And it seems like the smart thing to do. And by inviting them to comment or ask questions, it's not about policy. And I have to assume they're adults. They've been on that committee long enough to understand that when they come and ask these questions, it's about, where is this money coming from? What are you doing? Why? Questions that we might not ask, but people might have questions too. And to me, it's helpful. It's an open discussion. And it seems to be what, at least, you talk about it at almost every meeting, if not every meeting, about that. And so I think it's helpful. I think getting that eye when we're making it, I don't see the harm in it. I think it's helpful, and it's worth the time. And frankly, because they're not asking questions about policy, I think the questions would be extremely limited, because there is no budget for them to, and there's every dollar we're talking about spending is going to be raised, or it's going to come out of the reserve account. So that's not really a question. The question would be why? And frankly,
Well, the question is why. That's a policy question. Why did you do this? And we're not saying that we're not allowing them to talk. We're saying we're asking
can I
them to
finish
come
though?
in
Because
after the
last
talk.
meeting, I could not finish a thought or a statement without being interrupted,
Can you make it concise?
you know what? If this is how you're gonna lead the meeting, I make a motion that we remove Joe Roy from chairperson of this committee.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Okay, seeing no second, the motion dies. So my point is that on the 28th, that meeting is inviting them to come comment on our budget. If we're inviting, I'm not saying we don't invite them at all. I'm saying let's invite them after we have our budget, because the charge we're given is to develop a policy.
Can you make
develop
it
a
concise?
budget.
Because I understand you've said this
Yeah.
3 times and we were having a conversation. I was saying my point. And if you don't want to listen to me, I don't want to listen to you repeat
I'm
yourself.
just saying,
again.
if you're saying we're not inviting them to speak, I'm trying
That's
to
not-
point out
that's
that
not
we
what I
are
said.
inviting them. It's
But
just
that's not
later
what I
in the
said.
process.
That's
I'd
not
like
what
to
I
put
said.
a word in here, because
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to speak.
Mhm.
I actually am in favor of the proposal to have 2 budget, well, to make it 2 representatives of the budget committee in early on discussions. I don't think it hurts anything. I understand your point, but we have, just like we made this detailed schedule, we really were trying to mend some of the tensions and frictions that we had in the last processes we used. So I think this is just another way to get experienced folks involved early, and I don't think it would hurt to have them the ability to answer or to ask questions
Mhm.
that early. So
I will make a motion that we schedule the budget committee for the, put my glasses on, get the right date, the 14th of April meeting.
There's a motion on the table.
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Deb. Any discussion on the motion?
I think that it doesn't make sense to have them so early. We were still having their input. But to the point of the rules within the budget committee, it's not how policy is done.
Mhm.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's my final point too, is that it's outside of the charge of the committee. It's outside of what they were elected to do, and it's outside of our policy. So this would be developing a new precedent that we're not asking the legislative body, which is the voting members of the town, to approve. And so if we wanted to involve them at this point, I think that we would need to go to the town and ask if they want them to help us develop a budget rather than comment.
I
on the
disagree.
budget.
They've done it every year. Since
So-
the 4 years I was on the budget committee, they inputted the department heads, went before.
Yeah, and they
the-
also sat up here and said that the chief of the fire department wants a raise just because he's from Massachusetts. So that's
I
how the
understand.
budget committee has behaved.
You're gonna get people who will say that on the floor or not, but
Mhm.
I don't think the misbehavior of a misstatement, whatever, of one person. So I guess we have a motion on the floor. I don't think I don't see why it could possibly require the town, because it's not different. We're not setting a new precedent. It's what we've done.
It's changing policy. That's not dictated in the town ordinance.
We've been doing it for the 4 years I was on the budget.
It only changes policy if we let them talk about policy.
Yeah.
And the understanding is we're not letting them talk about policy, so it's not. It's keeping within their charge.
So how are the questions about the numbers not policy though? Like if you're asking, how did you come up with this figure?
That's,
Because we're not because what you're implying is that we're asking them to double check math. That's what I'm just trying to.
In no way do I see this a change in what we've done in the past, and the town, quite truthfully, the town meeting, they look at for what the budget committee is recommending. So I think the motion's on the floor. I think we could probably
Yeah.
argue this all night, but
Well, do we have any other discussions or questions on the motion? So I'll repeat the motion. The motion is to invite the budget committee to the 4/14 meeting with the department heads and the select board. Seeing no more discussion, all in favor of the motion?
just want to clarify, not the whole committee, but representatives.
Well, the motion was the committee, so that's what we're, and
I
if you
will
wanted to
amend
provide a
the-
friendly amendment.
I will friendly amendment to be,
Mhm.
well, they're all invited the participation would be limited to the chair and vice chair.
Okay, so as amended, if John's gonna, we're gonna accept John's friendly amendment. The motion would be to invite the chair and vice chair of the budget committee to participate at the 4/14 select board meeting with the department heads and the select board to ask process questions, or sorry, not process questions, numerical questions about the budget. Is that surmising?
No, I'm not saying that. It would seem to me to be legit to say, why are you buying 6,000 screwdrivers? I mean, I don't think that's a policy question. Or why do you need $200,000 for whatever it may be? You know, so that's
But-
not the same as we disagree with your vote, your plan for a pay scale or wage scale. That to me is a policy issue.
Is like seeking to understand questions.
Yeah, it's-
Not policy
Yeah.
related.
Yeah, but you can't say, I don't think we should buy a fire truck this year.
Right.
I don't think we should, I'm trying to think of some of the line items that are on there. I don't, you know, that the policy, the policy court, they could, for instance, somebody, if they decide that they don't want to put any money in reserves to hold the taxes down, they just say, we want $0 in the reserves.
But that would be a policy recommendation.
No, it's $1. They,
Just to remove capital investment would be a policy
well,
recommendation.
to invest, what we're gonna put in there is, I don't see that as a policy.
But do you see how it gets pretty like a fine line?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so if you're saying it's not a policy question, if I ask, why are we investing in capital?
I would just say they can talk amongst themselves and they just can say as a committee, we recommend $0. And so on the way of warrant, it would say,
But that's what we're having them do after our finalized budget with their full week of meetings.
I think we're nitpicking.
That,
I'm
that,
not gonna say just limit it to numerical.
But that's the essence of the motion was that it's a non-policy.
how about I resolve this with one simple motion?
I'll accept that.
Why don't we move the budget timeline up a week? So that we talk about, we get our budget, the proposed budget from the town manager on the February 24th meeting, which is in 2 weeks. The budget workshop with the department heads is March 10th. Then finalize the budget on March 24th. And we present it, and we have the meeting with the budget committee on April 14th. And then at our April 28th meeting, we approve the final budget, and then we can deal with the warrants on the May 12th meeting.
And so Josh has made a motion to move the budget process up 2 weeks. Is there a second?
I have to withdraw one. I just want to make sure I understood the timing on it. So, before I withdraw mine, so Josh, what you're saying is on the March 24th, we would come up with a final budget?
Right. I think, so to me, I don't see an issue. I don't think this is as difficult for the budget committee to stay within their role to have this conversation. And I want to hear from them, and I want to have time to digest and ask additional questions. And we can't do that with the short timeline from when we meet with them, they have their meeting, they make their recommendations, and then we have to vote the next meeting, because that has often raised questions. And I think there was at least 1 year where we couldn't get the answer to our question at that meeting. We had to get it the next day. And I don't want that situation. I want to hear from them. I think it's important. I think it's essentially the only public input we get for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. That's my concern is,
And so,
or we hold a public meeting, which I don't think we'd want to do. If
Right.
people show up. What are your
so
thoughts?
I think that's a happy medium, and that way they can see it. And we can have time to get answers to their questions that might be directed at the department heads.
So would this remove the meeting we have scheduled with them where we were already doing that on the 28th?
It would move it to the 14th.
So I think it would be challenging to ask the town staff to move their entire budgeting process up 2 weeks, because that's a lot of work on staff, especially when we're dealing with department heads who are driving snow plows right now to try to keep the roads clear. I just don't think that'd be a fair ask. That's my
So,
concern.
so this timeline was presented as, this is the timeline, not as a,
So
okay.
this is, we presented this as the budget timeline, and then the question was, do we invite the budget committee prior to the presented timeline? And the question was, do we invite the budget committee on the 14th? Or
That's the
April
motion on the
14th.
table.
Yeah. So is there a second to Josh's motion of moving it up
withdraw.
2 weeks? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you did.
No, I'm waiting to find out what we're going to do here.
hmm
Because if Josh's motion doesn't pass, I'm gonna redo mine, I guess.
Well, yours was first, so
I have to withdraw, right?
yeah.
I may formally,
Yeah,
I withdraw my
okay.
motion.
No worries. Robert's rules. I don't know who wrote it.
Pending the outcome of this.
Okay, so John has withdrawn his motion. Give just a second to catch up on the notes here.
Yep.
And Josh has made a motion to move the budget timeline up 2 weeks. Do we have a second on Josh's motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, John has seconded the motion. Do we have any questions or discussions?
I don't think that's fair for the town staff.
Yeah. Jerry, is that something that the staff would be able to?
All the numbers
Accommodate.
won't be in. So I'm still waiting on state revenue.
Mhm.
Last year, they posted it on February 2nd. Year before that, it was March
Mhm.
3rd. So you're probably not gonna have all the numbers at that time.
Okay. Any other questions or discussions on the
So-
motion?
I'll withdraw my motion if Jerry can't get it done.
So-
And
Then
Okay.
I will I'll remake my motion, which is that we have the joint meeting with the budget committee on the 14th of April. There was something else,
There's a-
and it would only, we would ask that only the two, or require only the chair and vice chair, or two people they want to have in case somebody's sick that day.
Just a point of clarification. Is that in addition to the April 28th meeting or instead of?
Just 1 second. I think it's in lieu of, I don't think we need to do, we've already. Well, we still have to give them the budget.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
what
we
we're
need
gonna
to.
do on the 14th is figure out what it should be, finalize it, and then, present it at our next meeting. So I would leave the actual formal presentation to the budget committee on the 28th.
So it would be in addition to. the
It would be in
28th.
addition to, yeah.
Okay, just that was just a
Yeah,
clarification.
and the
question.
budget presentation to me is, here's the budget. Here, you know, and it's not just the budget committee. On the 28th, we're telling the town what our budget's gonna be. Which is even more important than, you know, we're focused on the budget committee, but having the, presenting it to the town as early as possible is important.
So do we have a second on John's motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments on the motion? Okay, so the motion is to add a extra meeting with the budget committee on 4/14. You did not add any qualifiers to the questions that the budget committee can ask?
They've committed to not being policy, and we can tell them that if you want to change the wage scale, that's a policy change, and we're not gonna entertain that.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that.
Alrighty, so there's a motion to allow invite the budget committee to the April 14th select board meeting with the, when the select board finalizes its budget, to provide the chair and vice chair opportunity to ask questions of the, select board. Is there any other discussion on the motion? All in favor? Any opposition? Okay, that passes 3-2. Alrighty. Lost my schedule here.
The sun swimming?
Alrighty. So old business taken care of. New business updates from the agriculture committee. So we've received email from the ag committee. Love to have you folks come on up and give us a presentation.
See you out, you know.
And I may have missed it too.
Did I?
When did that email?
They
come
just
out?
sent it a little this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we'll add, just, can you make sure that this gets added to the agenda packet? Yeah. Because you have that electronic copy already?
Well,
Jerry,
obviously.
Jerry, can you forward it to her?
Yeah. I don't see that I got a copy of that, but if somebody would forward the email they
It
sent.
went to the select board, I believe. Oh, no, went to me.
Yeah, and what was,
All right.
what was shared this morning, or this afternoon by Krista, Chappelle from Maine Permanent Trust's background to
Mhm.
this proposal that we wanted to present to you all, from the Durham Agriculture Committee. So just as, a little background, the last time I think we were at the select board is when we were getting appointed. So that was, I believe, in December of 2024. So we've been meeting over the last year, to really look at issues and opportunities for agriculture in Durham. Part of that process has been really getting clear on definitions of agriculture. And we had originally thought we would come forward to get some of those definitions changed in this year's town meeting. But through discussions with George and the planning board, recognized that it might be better to spend more time and wait to both look at those definition changes as well as potential ordinance changes into 2027. And so that's really our intention at this point in time, is to have more communication with you all and with the planning board and with the general public, to really see how ordinance changes could happen to best support agriculture in the town of Durham. With that said, one thing that has come up in our discussions that has been a real challenge for farmers is the permitting fees for high tunnels and greenhouses. And so that's what we're coming to you today. And from originally thought we might have bring it to the town, but through discussion with both George and Joe and the planning board, saw that you all control the fee structure, and it was suggested that we bring this conversation here to the select board. And so this provides some background information. Maybe just before I get to the proposal, I'll just share a little bit of that background information. First of all, just as you can see on the first pages, that the average cost of production per farm has increased by 24% between 2017 and 2022. So the expenses of farmers are going up, the expense of farmland is going up, and we're losing more and more farms every year. And so, as a community that has committed in our comprehensive plan to preserve the rural character of Durham, keeping farmland viable and working is important. And so, that's not just having the open land, but actually supporting farmers in the cost of production as well. And you can see on page 5, the challenges facing farmers, again, the cost of production, more extreme weather events, high cost of land, all the development pressures we see, PFAS contamination, lack of access to on and off farm infrastructure and processing capacity, farm labor shortages, farm succession and transfer to the next generation, and burdensome ordinance requirements. So why we are coming to you to propose to reduce the permitting or eliminate the permitting fee for high tunnels and greenhouses is on page 6 here. So it's often cost prohibitive for tunnels, currently adding up to 20 to 50% of the cost of the structure itself. Currently, a high tunnel in Durham recently has been permitted as commercial fee. So that's $1 per square foot. So a 2,000 square foot high tunnel, which is a pretty common size, $2,000 for a permit fee, is what it currently is. And clear exemptions prevent confusion, identify structures exempt from conventional permitting or site plan review. Structures can be reasonably relocated or removed without material damage to the soil. So therefore they are temporary structures. And these extend the growing season, maximizing crop production, so increasing the availability of locally food here in Durham that we can feed to our neighbors. They also offer cost-effective livestock housing, equipment storage, and reduce costs and administrative burdens, increasing viability while adding flexibility for changing needs. So currently in Durham, agricultural buildings are considered permitted use under Article 3 in all districts except resource protection in the shoreland zone where they're conditional use. And there is an exemption for agricultural buildings under site plan review, and planning board review is not required for agricultural uses. And in the definition of agriculture in Durham includes greenhouses as well. And then you can see in the state statutes as well that Title 10, 9722, 6B14, buildings used to house livestock, store crops, or grow crops are exempt from UBEC, except for cannabis facilities and parks and buildings used for non-agricultural purposes. Only electrical and plumbing permits may be needed. So those are both the town and state. And if we look at some on page 8 here, just as a comparison of what some of our neighbors are doing. So in Warren and Auburn, there's no permitting fees for any ag building or structures. In Minot, there's greenhouse has a flat fee of $35, a lot less. Those are both a whole lot less than 2,000. Barns, $35 plus the 5 cents per square foot. Bodenham, hoop houses, high tunnels are allowed, no permit or fee. Greenhouses under 10,000 square foot building, permit only. Greenhouses over 10,000 square foot plan review permit. And those greenhouses have a permanent foundation A-green system. And you can see here, Auburn also changed. Their former model was a flat fee of $25 plus 7 cents per square foot. They changed though to the no permitting fee. So that's just to give some background. So the proposal that we agreed upon unanimously last week and to present to you all was to add agricultural high tunnels and greenhouses 96 feet by 35 feet or smaller to miscellaneous structures under the fee schedule with no fee for construction permits. That's what we wanted to share with you all today for your discussion and further questions. And there is a lot more background in here too, but gave you the highlights. So
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you for working on this. I think what this really shows is the value of your committee because you're bringing to us things that we won't know without hearing from our citizens. So I really appreciate it. And I know a lot of time and effort has gone into this and really concise presentation here and lots of details. Does anyone have any questions?
We'll discuss this in more detail down the road.
Yep. So with this, with you getting us this afternoon, we'll need to make it part of the public record, and then we can add this as a topic to discuss again. But while we've got them here, we can ask some questions if we have any. And so one question I had, just to clarify, high tunnels are maintained soil as the substrate under the tunnel, right? They don't have a poured foundation or anything like that.
No.
Okay, and I think that's what makes it a big difference for me too, is because you just pop it up and you have your back to bare soil. I know that some federal programs, high tunnels aren't allowed to be used for storage of equipment. They have to be used just for crops, but as it's written here, it includes storage, livestock, crop production.
Those are for cost shares.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. It's not a matter of that those can't be used for those things, but
Mhm.
that the federal grants won't pay for them unless they're used for growing crops.
Okay. Yeah, so a
And
bit
they
of a
also
difference.
can't have heaters and
Yeah.
and some other stipulations as well, but I only have 4 tunnels now. I had 5. I only have 1 that's working because we're not a commercial farm any longer. So
Could you introduce yourselves? Or maybe I
yes,
missed it.
we should have done that. Dave
Yes.
Olson. I'm on the Davis Road. Our farm is called New Leaf Farm. We sold commercial produce all over the area for about 30 years. Then I went to work for the Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association, sharing my knowledge and teaching for about 10 years, and I'm retired. We use the property. We have a farm, area farmer that hays it for us. So on our property, we actually have a solid greenhouse, like what you're talking about. It's a building and it's solar, and we're not talking about anything like that. Just these driving pipes into the ground, putting up a bow covered with plastic.
Yeah, that might be really helpful, I think, to make the distinction for folks who are listening. And so when we can talk about this more, what makes a high tunnel and a greenhouse different? Is it like a square and a rectangle type scenario here, or?
What was it, 1985, I built my first homemade one.
Mhm.
It was PVC pipe
Mhm.
and wood frame and all of that, just to try it out, because people were using like low hoops back then, and so this was just a bigger hoop, right? And let's see, where was I going with that? So they've progressed since that period of time into something else. So I think the use of greenhouse was just generic across the board. It could be one of the old glass houses. It could be a solar building like mine, or, you know, or these plastic houses. So we've differentiated over the last 30 years since these have become ubiquitous on farms, where we call them a high tunnel or a hoop house.
Mhm.
And a greenhouse is exactly what you're describing, foundation, usually with hot, cold, or running water, electricity, and all that.
I didn't introduce myself before. Jonah Furtig Bird, 125 Bowie Hill Road at Celebration Food Farm Wellness Center. I will also point to this document right here that's in the packet. That's from Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry. High tunnels and greenhouses, a guide for municipalities. So this does provide more information of lower Caterpillar tunnel, high tunnel, and greenhouse.
Mhm.
Okay, so
That's
does
all
your committee,
suggestions.
feel that if the fees are, waived or you remove the fees, that more of these structures would be built by farmers in the community? Or we would just be saving, the farmers' expenses?
Definitely think that, I mean, there could definitely be more structures built. I mean, more and more farmers in Maine are building high tunnels. And, you know, to increase the, extending the season. And also they can be good in terms of thinking about with various weather conditions that we have. Sometimes they can be, you know, ideal for different, changing weather patterns. And, you know, when we overall, I mean, part of our charge as a committee is to support and promote agriculture in Durham. And so, you know, if a farmer was looking at this and saying, well, do I want to move to Durham and have a farm where I have to pay $2,000 for that hoop house? Or do I want to move to Warren, or, you know, where I don't have to pay that $2,000 for that hoop house? And, you know, often farmers don't have just one hoop house. They may have 3 or 4 or 5, depending, you know, just depending what they want to do. So you're talking about, you know, costs increasing greatly. And, you know, and then that making it less available and accessible for a farmer who wants to have a successful farm.
I mean, and couldn't it also benefit non-farming residents who want to put up a greenhouse for flowers and all that business today?
Yeah.
They pay a fee, and with this change, they would no longer pay.
This would change that as well, yeah.
And
that's-
these permit fees go right into the general fund?
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, one of the things
And-
just to say too within our committee is we're not only focused on commercial agriculture
Right.
enterprises. We want to see more people gardening,
Right.
homesteading,
Mhm.
you know, and supporting that as well.
Yeah, and so just a quick point of clarification here, because, and this is something that George had advised the committee, because this is a fee and the select board sets and manages fees, the ask here is to ask the select board to consider changing that fee.
Right.
I think the ask here is a fee of 0. It's not a ordinance per se, because the ordinance gives us the power to set and manage
Yeah.
fees. So that's why it's here rather than at that. To me, when I see a presentation like this, what rings in my ear is rural nature, right? Like we talk about that a lot in our plans in our municipalities. We want to maintain our rural nature, our rural character. And I think high tunnels, low tunnels, greenhouses, all those things are part of it. You know, when I think about if you're a vegetable producer, a $2,000 extra fee on establishing a high tunnel comes into, that's a pretty big economic input there when you're determining whether it's going to be worth it. You mentioned that it extends the growing season. Could you speak a little bit more to how that works or how much so in your experience?
Sure. Part of the reason I started using or building a hoop house, originally we did those low tunnels. And that was just in the early spring to get something like tomatoes or pepper, cold intolerant plants out early. No heat or anything, and of course, just some protection. And, but tomatoes grow best when you stake them or tie them up, trellis them, so they're off the ground. Less disease that way, so we thought, well, we wanna keep them covered a longer period of time, so we built this bigger, I guess it was like 12 by 30 originally. And what we found was that when we were growing them outside with no additional protection, meaning nothing past that little low tunnel, we lost 50% of the crop due to weather conditions, cracking from too much rain, disease, all kinds, even insects. When you put them in the high tunnel, you have about 10% loss. So right there, you've almost doubled your income from the same amount of tomatoes. I figure, it's just trying to do in my head. I think right now we're producing maybe $3,000 worth of hay off of the property. That's off of 30, close to 30 acres. It's hay during the summer. I used to figure on our veggie fields that were about an acre, I needed to make $25,000 to be worth doing planting things. A hoop house, 30 by 96 will itself produce $25,000 worth of crop. So you see the value there. And that's why more people there can speak to this. More farms are going to protected growing, which are what these are. In terms of extension, we can get things in the ground earlier and have them later for cold weather crop or hot weather crops. Cold weather crops, I've had amazing spinach this time of year. I'm not doing it right now.
You should have brought something.
That'd be a bribe, so I mean, we can't have spinach out on the table.
Unfortunately, we've got a rodent problem right now. They're getting into everything, so I got to deal with them before I can grow winter crops.
But it seems like it increases yield and opens up potentially a new market for producers too in that winter crop.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible to see just in the last 20 years, the amount of, year-round production or availability of winter crops that have been, from all different farms in Maine. And so, it's something that as we try to, continue to increase the amount of local food eaten by our neighbors and the communities around us, having that production availability is important.
Rebecca, Josh, John, any questions?
No.
I do, yeah, not surprisingly, but
That's good.
couple of questions for you. You're not talking about changing site plan review or anything like this. Is strictly fees to build these?
There's no site plan review for agriculture, period. So there's no, we're not. And I mean, we did share with the town of Warren and town of Auburn where they have no permitting fees for agricultural buildings. We're not proposing that at this point. We're just focusing on high tunnels and greenhouses.
So the question I following up is, I think rather than just say, select board, you choose a number. I think your recommendation, what you think is, and I know you put a lot of examples in there. And maybe it's in there, I just got this last minute, so, is there a recommendation from you all that we can take a look at compared to these others?
That's the one-page proposal that we submitted in addition to the packet, so our proposal is that.
That's, we're good, I mean, as long as you've done it.
Yeah, the high tunnels and greenhouses under that size have no fees.
The last question I got is there any electrical plumbing in these buildings?
There can be, and that would be, we see that as, then first we'd have to get an electrical permit or plumbing permit. They can be constructed without any electrical or plumbing. If they choose to do that, they would them choose to.
recognition of electrical plumbing, because we've got to get the codes guy out there
Mhm.
to.
Yeah, that'd be its own thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't I don't think it would, you're not suggesting it would supersede the permit requirements for those. You're just
No.
saying the physical structure would not be charged at $1 a
Yeah.
square foot under your
Yeah.
recommendation, yeah.
We have water that we can put into the houses. I don't really consider that plumbing. I think
Yeah.
plumbing would be more like wastewater.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Mhm.
we have underground piping so we can irrigate the fields. I
Mhm.
just happen to set a greenhouse up over where some of that plumbing comes out of the
Mhm.
ground or some of that water.
Mhm.
So, but I wouldn't consider it plumbing.
That's all I had.
Good question, so thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right, Rebecca?
Sorry, I just because I'm not aware, are there any other fees that farms do separate from your regular taxes? Any other fees that are dedicated to the town that are paid?
You know, our, whatever our property tax.
I mean, other
Mhm.
than the taxes. I mean, like, so this is, you have these fees for that you're trying to delete, but any other fees that you
Well,
come
if we were
across?
to build a non-agricultural building, it would, you know.
Right,
same
but nothing
things would
else,
apply to-
nothing else, because
nothing
I'm just
I'm
not aware.
of.
Okay. I just
Yeah.
didn't know if there's any other costs that you guys are associated with.
Yeah,
Nothing. Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
Well, this is really great info. Thank you for sending it along. I forwarded the email you sent me this afternoon to the board and to the town manager and to the clerk, so we can get that as part of the packet. And we'll put this on another meeting to actually have the vote on it. It's seeing as it doesn't have to be an ordinance change or something like that. It doesn't have to be done like right now.
Yeah.
But I also don't want us to wait on it forever. But as you can see from our discussion earlier, we have a lot going on in the next few weeks. So we'll put this on another meeting to have the vote, but this gives us a lot of great information. If folks want to review it and any questions you have, send to me, and then I can send them to the committee. And then if we were to need you to come back in, we can have you come back in, or we could just move along there. But we really appreciate all this work.
Great.
So
And
Yeah.
yeah, and just one last thing too is, you know, as we said, we are looking towards some potential ordinance changes in 2027. And so, you know, we really want to do that with you know, as much collaboration and coordination and communication with both you all and the planning board. So, you know, we'll be in touch further, but thinking
Yeah.
about, you know, maybe a joint workshop or meeting or something that, you know, whatever way that looks and best works within, you know, no, I know you all have a lot, you know, a lot on your schedule. So just, but that's a desire to have that, so we can really, you know, be proactive about how we can best move forward with those changes and
Mhm.
bring in any of the considerations and questions, throughout it.
And
Perfect.
I think you all have seen the definitions.
There's been a draft circulated somewhere, yeah.
And that gave some really good feedback, and those are the things that we're highlighting, that we need to go through the ordinances and understand where those changes might be.
Yeah,
Yeah. George shared that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, George shared that with us, so,
Some of that.
yeah.
Great.
Awesome, well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming in, really appreciate it. Alrighty. Move along here. So per our discussion last time, we obviously our next item is automated trash collection.
Can we move Lois up just because she's here and
Yeah, sure. Do you want to move the RSU 5 appointment up to now?
if we could, I mean, she's just sitting here.
Yeah.
Enjoying yourself.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to make a motion?
Sure.
Or-
I'll move that we amend the agenda to move 6F, the RSU 5 Board of Directors appointment up to the next discussion.
Perfect. Any second on the motion?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? Lois, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
In fact, I'm fantastic. So we have received one applicant for RSU 5 vacancy. That document was sent to us in advance, their information, but is there anything you wanted to tell us about yourself? Lois?
I was pretty clear on,
Yeah.
I included my resume
Mhm.
and my letter of intent. And so I came because I wasn't sure if any of you would have questions of me.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions for Lois?
Thank you for being so thorough with everything.
Yeah.
It helped a lot.
My pleasure.
Joe?
Not surprising.
Oh, questions are good.
uh, One of the budget is always a big issue, as you know, a long time. So, this is probably an open-ended question. What is, I mean, you obviously have strong teaching and other credentials. What's your feeling on the controlling the budget? I'm not sure the right term, for the school board.
So I don't know if you saw, I'm going to say just about a week ago in the paper and, on a number of different social media things. The new superintendent, Tom Gray, put a letter out to the community saying that before too much happened into the budget for the school district, he wanted input from the communities. And I'm all over that. I think that we need to hear from the communities on what they think is important in education. I don't think they make the final decision, but I think you take the input and then the school committee makes the decision based on what they take away from the communities.
Mhm.
So, and I am familiar with budgets as the MEA president. I had a multi-million-dollar budget. So, and I'm used to dealing with big numbers, maybe not as big as the RSU 5, but
So not asking you for commitment. It seems to me that the years that I have been here, there's always we got a gazillion new students coming and we need to raise the budget. And I recognize there are a lot of things you have no control over, that the state mandates, the feds mandate, and put, somewhat lesser extent for the town. But it seems to me we've often been increasing classrooms, hiring teachers, whatever, that isn't necessarily justified. How do you see looking at that? I'm not asking you to commit today that you never vote for a school budget, but it is important that Durham voted against the school budget last year.
they
So
always do.
Yeah, so well, I think for the first year, but so there's a strong anti-tax select board, anti-school board, anti-county. What are your feelings on how do we get that, as one person on a school board?
One thing you'll learn about me is I do not hesitate to say what I believe.
That's what I'm asking.
I believe that education is the most important thing that this town can put their money into. I think it's important that we do have enough educators, enough qualified educators, that we have enough space for our kids, if it means additions to buildings. I think all of that's important. I think paying people livable salaries is important. When you look at what an ed tech gets paid, it's not a livable wage for Southern Maine. I think money is important in the whole scheme of education.
Okay, I appreciate your candidness.
Any other questions for Lois?
Will you advocate or at least raise concerns that you may not agree with because you know what I'm asking?
Are you saying someone came to me from the town and said, if you came to me and said, listen, I'm really concerned about such and such, and I disagree with you, I would absolutely bring it up.
Mhm.
Because that's what a representative to the school committee should be doing. They shouldn't be bringing their own agenda. They should be making, true of any committee, they shouldn't be bringing their own agenda. They should be representing the people who are their constituents.
So,
And what?
no, go
I was just
ahead.
gonna say, and this is a very short-term position.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
other thing. This is only from, if I assume
Now
tomorrow
June,
night,
Yeah.
from tomorrow night until the election in June.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's short-term. The reason I actually offered to do this and brought my application in is because I feel like for someone who's never been a part of education before, the learning curve is pretty steep.
Mhm.
Because I've been in it for 40 years. my learning curve is not going to be as steep. It will be somewhat steep because I've never been on a school committee before.
Mhm.
But, and it's a different perspective, obviously. But I come knowing the law and knowing the boundaries. And so in the next 4 months, hopefully I won't make too many mistakes.
Perfect.
Are you saying you're not gonna run again? I mean, that, and when the,
I would have to wait and see.
okay,
I,
fair.
I,
That's fair.
Perfect.
I
I'm
don't
doing
know.
the same thing,
Yeah.
so that's fair.
And any other questions?
It's not a question. Thank you so much for your candidness. We did receive an email, and so I think we should address the fact that we are moving quickly to fill this position
Mhm.
because of the budget situation at RSU 5 school district. So we need to, and it's been out for 2 weeks now, the call for applicants, 2 or 3 weeks.
It went on at the last meeting,
Well,
so
last
this is
meeting,
2
and we did
weeks.
a
Yeah.
deadline to get it in to have
Okay,
it
so that's
available
plenty
for
of
the
time
agenda.
for people to have submitted, so. I just want to put it
Yeah,
out there.
absolutely.
So that we can be clear that we are not waiting any longer.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I'll make a motion to accept Lois, his application for RSU 5 Board of Directors. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Second from Rebecca. Any questions or discussions on the motion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Any opposition? We have one. All right, passes 4-1.
It's nothing personal, it's fiscal, so.
It's okay.
All righty. Thank you, Lois.
Congratulations.
I think that you'll just need to reach out to Michelle. I believe they have a meeting
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. And I
I've already
yeah,
looked into
and I
it.
spoke with Michelle. Do you have her contact information? Because she told me I could share it if you needed it. So,
I,
and Jess can
probably
get it to
should
her.
get
Yeah,
Can you comment tomorrow?
Yes.
So I can send it. and then-
perfect.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All
I
righty.
will represent Durham to the best of my ability.
We appreciate that. All righty. Next, so we're bringing back up our automated trash discussion. So we had a great presentation from Waste Zero last meeting. That was kind of, and we also had a great presentation from the Solid Waste Committee. So we were, I know that caused a lot of thought for me, and I know it created a lot of social discord, which is very good. And we've gotten on the board's gotten some feedback from folks, both yay and nay, which is nice to see. One thing I just want to clarify, because there's been a lot of discussion around it. There's some folks who have reached out and said, well, I don't think the municipality should be paying for trash pickup. Well, currently, the municipality does pay for trash pickup. And so this isn't moving into a model where we are just now paying for trash pickup. And I just want to clarify, trash pickup is funded through tax dollars and through revenue generated by the sale of trash tags. So currently everyone gets 26 trash tags, and I hesitate to use the word for free because it all comes out of your taxes. So you get 26 trash tags up front, and then any additional trash tags you need have to be purchased. Cherry, we average about $2,000 worth of trash tag purchases monthly, roughly.
No, like 33,000, give or take.
33,000 a year.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, it's 33,000 annually around,
Somewhere around
there.
We're around 27,000 this
Yeah,
year.
yeah. And so the concept is everyone gets a allotted trash tag, and then if you are a household that needs to produce more waste, then there's an extra charge. The pay-as-you-go bag system is really the same concept, except you're now paying per bag rather than per barrel. And so I just want to clarify that for folks who were wondering, and we can make sure we follow up with more information about that. And so we received a presentation from Waste Zero last week that talked about the impacts analysis for how trash collection could look in Durham with a pay-as-you-throw system. So also want to clarify the pay-as-you-throw bag system is being brought up because the trash pickup is going to be moving to an automated trash pickup where a robotic arm will grab a trash can and pour it into the back of the trash collector. So there won't be anyone there to pull a tag off the bag, off the barrel. So, we received a great presentation from Waste Zero. They gave us some projections here and they talked about projections with a trash bag being costing $3 for a trash bag for like a 33-gallon trash bag, and then a reduced amount or at 176 for a tall kitchen style trash
So
bag.
just to clarify, because I see all of us looking at different documents. So what are we looking at?
Oh, the sensitivity analysis
so
that
this
you're,
is
yeah,
what- okay.
yeah.
Which is different than that he gave out last.
Right.
time.
Yeah,
No,
and
I
so this,
know.
the one that says 210
Right.
on the front, yeah, there's an updated sensitivity analysis. Questions we had asked were, well, there's gotta be a floor for the bag price because you have to make the bags, and that floor is 25 cents. That's what they charge for the bags, or it depends on the bag, but it's 28 to 38 cents. The other question I received a lot of inquiry about was about the thickness of the bag to make sure that they're not really thin bags. And my understanding is he said they were like 3 mils thick, and I know a 4 mil bag is considered a reusable bag that's what you get from like your grocery stores. So these are pretty thick bags to accommodate the fact that people want to really fill them up. And so I think the other part of the presentation that we received was he was saying that they have found that once you move to a pay-as-you-throw system, people generally start throwing out less waste. Whether that means they decide to recycle more, they decide to take on composting, or they maybe start donating old clothing rather than throwing it out, or a variety of things. They project it's a decrease in about 30% of the waste. And our contract is structured in a way that we have our annual fee for trash pickup that we pay, but we also have a tipping fee, which is determined by the tons of waste that are thrown out annually. And so a long discussion has been, is there ways to decrease that tipping fee by decreasing waste? And this is a option to do so. Does that seem to cover the discussion we had last meeting clearly? And so the goal of this meeting tonight is to discuss that further if folks have additional points that they want to discuss, and also to develop questions for Casella. So Casella being the ones who are picking up the trash, as opposed to the Waste Zero being the ones who provide the bags. So I want to open the floor first to have a discussion around pay as you throw, and if there's any points that board members would like to make.
So one of the questions that came up from the residents would be, will the bags be available for purchase at the town office? Whether consistently throughout the year, in the beginning, are people gonna get free bags or whatever, but that was a question that was brought up.
He did talk about that last time, and he said that they can be made available. to
Sure,
town
but I
office.
mean,
Yeah.
what do we think? We
Yeah.
also talked about that adds in, town effort or applied
Mhm.
time in the town office when the bags could be just available at the store. You're buying bags anyway. Today we're
Mhm.
buying bags at the store,
Yeah,
right?
but it's a good question to raise, and I think the
Yeah.
answer is the
What
answer
do we think?
the answer
Oh.
could be yes, yeah. So the potential exists. So, but he said we would have to pre-purchase the bags.
And build a new town hall.
Yeah, can I just mention
Yeah.
that storage is very limited at the town
Mhm.
office. Right now, we get a box of 10,000 trash tags. That's about this big. So rolls of like we don't know where we're gonna put those.
Yeah, and so that's a good point to bring up too, is a storage concern.
And then the other question was, would residents receive any free bags? Well, we'll use free lightly. Any free bags like we do getting the 26 free tags, so to speak, free.
Yeah, that's a good question, because another question I had was people were asking, would their existing trash tags be honored in some way, whether it's an exchange system or something like that? And so another good question.
But I think, and my default position in the beginning too, and I heard a lot of this from residents, and it was mostly on social media, but I did talk to a few people, is we need to be able to clearly articulate, why do we need bags anyway? I mean, especially at a $3 rate. Why have the burden of bags? And there is the revenue piece and all that, but I think we need to be very clear in our communication if we go this way. why it benefits us as a town to move into having residents buy bags.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I've thought about that a lot. And one thing I just would add to it and then open it up for discussion too is right now, if we move away from the tag system, there is lost revenue that is utilized to help pay for trash collection, town services, to the tune of 34,000 and change.
I think that's what it close
Yeah,
to 30.
yeah. And so if that revenue is lost, revenue has to be made up somewhere. And the other element too is the contract itself. This is the first year that it has the bin pickup in it, and there's an additional charge from the provider built into the contract for that bin pickup. So we will need to make sure that cost gets accommodated. We could either do that just through a flat increase in that budget line on the trash collection, or we could offset that increased cost through the pay-as-you-go bag system. And in that way, one thing that I heard for feedback is people were saying, well, I don't want to have to pay more than my fair share of throwing out bags. I live by myself. I
Right.
create 1 or 2
Mhm.
trash bags of trash a month. And so I think that the approach with the pay-as-you-go system would say, okay, we have the expense of getting rid of trash. We have the revenue from tags that goes towards that as well. We need to make sure we at minimum match those things. And this is an opportunity to shift it so those who utilize the service more pay a little bit more. Those who utilize the service less pay a little bit less. I know that a perennial concern is for folks on fixed incomes, especially retired folks. And generally speaking, 2 retired individuals are producing a lot less trash than a family of 5. And so this gives an opportunity to maybe shift some of that household economics to benefit our retired citizens a little bit more. And so I think that that's why it's important for us to talk about this. I think
Yeah, I
$3
think
is
that's
too
fair.
high,
Yeah.
but that's where I think that's the need for it. Josh, Rebecca, any thoughts?
So wait, just to go back to the pricing though, if we were to, with the $3 a bag, could we go lower?
Yeah, so in the sensitivity analysis, he
Oh, here it is.
had prepared for us examples from
Yeah.
large bag of $3 all the way down to large bag of $2.25, tall kitchen bag of $1.80 all the way down to tall kitchen bag of $1.36. And then it shows the net annual revenue from that.
Those are net zeros numbers. And so a couple of thoughts I have is there a way, how do we know that? I mean, they're obviously basing that on experience, but those towns that are now using it, what are they finding? We've got 4,500 people. Who else uses it? North Yarmouth has 3,500. What have they found for real savings?
I think what he said last meeting was that they looked at all those towns, and he also looked at our tipping fees and calculated out what the anticipated bag use would be. And he said, they work with about 300 towns, so they have a pretty large data pool to pull from. So that's where these numbers came from. Is what he had said last meeting. So.
And I think that to Rebecca and a couple other people's, there is sensitivity of how much this is going to cost.
Mhm.
And so is there a way to say, right now, we have a budget for trash pickup. And if you divide that by 2,500 homes, whatever, I always forget the number, but 2,500 homes, that comes out to X dollars per house. So with his sensitivity analysis, it's going to come out to whatever the fee is left over there. So like next year, I suspect our waste to be at least 600,000, because I think we're at 550 or something now, and it isn't getting cheaper. So it would be good to be able to say, okay, we're gonna pay X amount of money, the way we're going now, and that comes out to X amount per house. If we go to pay as you throw, we're still gonna have to pay X amount of tasks, because it looks like to me saying we get 163,000 back, so I'm throwing out $600,000 minus 163 divided by 2,500 homes. plus whatever they're gonna pay for pay as you throw. Does
Well-
that make sense? So you're gonna have.
I would note that it's not equally distributed across the homes in terms of the cost. It's variable because of the usage.
The taxes, that's true.
The tags, the bags,
You
yeah.
could, you could, and I don't know if he can tell us what that is, so, I got a gazillion yellow tags because the previous owner, my brother-in-law, and mother-in-law didn't produce a lot of
Mhm.
garbage, so I got a ton of yellow
Mhm.
tags, but there are other people who you drive by and there's a ton of, so I guess I'm trying to say, is a fiscal amount that we can put to that, say, yes, look at, if you don't throw out a lot of garbage, you're gonna save money in this
Mm-hmm.
deal. But we're still gonna tax you at X amount.
Yeah.
Because there
I
is a
think that
tax
would be a hard number to figure out because we don't know individual trash usage. We just know the tonnage across the town, and we could say, well, if it's 50 tons of garbage divided by 2,500, we anticipate that being spread equally around those houses. We could say this is your share of that now. I think it'd be hard to extrapolate.
plus they add the bags.
Yeah.
So you could say that we're gonna tax you for 300,000. And your share of that is, as a taxpayer, is whatever it is, 2,500 times whatever. Plus whatever you use, and so if you don't use a lot, you're gonna save money in this deal.
Mhm. The way I look at this is it's very similar to like our EMS services. We have a baseline tax that everyone pays to contribute towards providing EMS services. And then if you utilize the service, you receive a bill for whatever you utilize, whether
Yeah,
it's a
pretty
hospital ride or
much.
whatever. So we're still agreeing that we're as a community paying our annual contract to Casella. But now we're saying instead of everyone getting the same amount of tags and all that sort of stuff, those who produce more trash pay a slightly larger share than those who produce less trash. So, and then the thing I like about this is oftentimes when there's an expense put on people, they have relatively no control over mitigating that expense. Whereas if someone can now say, good, I can now reduce my trash expense because I can compost, I can recycle, I can do all these things. And it gives people a little bit more control over their household economics from a standpoint of like municipal services. So I think that's where it's a big win. I think it would be hard to calculate those numbers out we come up with a figure of if you're a household of 5 who throws away X
And I'm good with
whatever.
just,
Yeah.
this is what your tax burden is now,
Mhm.
going to this new system, that's what it's gonna be.
Mhm.
And then whatever trash you use, figure that in. A couple other comments, that I had was, what are we gonna do with the yellow stickers that are left over?
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
a
I've
big-
written
that's a
mine
big
off,
question.
but, and so I've had a couple of ideas. One is you use them till they're gone. You know, we don't sell anymore, and so that'd be a question for Casella. Can you differentiate, whatever we're gonna do? And then an idea I have is that we've already committed tax dollars and other things to yellow tags that get us through June. And we have a budget for that. Do
Mhm.
we continue to use yellow tags until 1 July, 15 June, whatever that right
I
I mean,
now is?
it could be
That's-
we institute the automated system with no use of pay-as-you-go bags for the first 2 or 3 months. And say that's giving you credit for your yellow tags starting, this date is when the pay-as-you-go
I
bags
think
start
that-
kicking in.
That's what I'm thinking. I know there's a lot more discussion than we probably have time for this evening.
Because things that I have seen people say is, when I bought these tags, I was told that they never expired. And now they're saying, you're telling me that they are expiring. I understand that point, I know that right now, if people come in to buy tags, the town office says, hey, you might not want to buy 50 tags because there's a change coming.
It's a good thing to do.
And so I think your point there, John, would be a question for Waste Zero to say, do you have to begin your bag? Do we have to begin our bags with you the day automated trash pickup starts happening? Or can we stagger that a little bit? So get people used to the automated trash pickup and then get people used to,
I think
Well,
that
I
they
think
said
he knows,
yes.
But yeah,
yeah.
I think he said, you tell me when you want to be
right, they're
ready,
just the
and I
manufacturer
can
bags.
make one
yeah.
April, yeah.
He said turnaround is 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's if we ask,
Yeah.
if we ask him, we could.
So that would I don't want to say the word mess, but that would change these sensitivity analysis a little bit, because if we're saying in the next budget, we're only using pay-as-you-go for 40 weeks of the 52-week budget, that would have some effect on the numbers there. But I think that could be a good compromise to say we're crediting everyone's tags by saying there's no additional pay-as-you-go until, Q2.
My thought is, we've already got a budget. I mean, it'd
Yeah.
be nice to save money on it, but we've already committed to expenses.
Would it mean for people who don't have tags up until that point that you wanna implement, would have to go buy more tags to that? No.
I'd say it's like, hey,
Freebie.
we could say automated trash pickup starts April 1, no tags, any bag until August 1, and then we're moving to this bag system. those are arbitrary dates, but it would just say, and so you're throwing out your tag, but you're also getting multiple weeks of trash pickup for free to offset the fact that you have potentially purchased tags or you have leftover tags.
So just
So-
a question on that, because do we pay, I thought we pay for tonnage, et cetera, like, so that's,
Tonnage
so
is-
if people suddenly have an understanding that, hey, I can throw everything out, we are incurring more cost.
Yeah.
I would just keep using the stickers until whatever day the budget is scheduled to run out, which is, I guess, town meeting.
But will
Ab-
people honor that?
Well, no one can take the stickers
Everybody
off.
gets honest.
No, there's no one to take the stickers off.
I'm not
Yeah.
expecting that. I mean, you just say you gotta have a sticker and hope 50% of the people put a sticker in there.
I mean, is there any way that, oh, okay.
Maybe- It'd be a Casella question, but it'd be really
Yeah.
hard to look for that yellow sticker.
Also a question regarding compost. Does Casella have compost abilities?
I don't know. Jerry seems to shake his head no.
They do not.
No.
You'll hear more about compost from the solid waste committee
Mhm.
when they come.
One
in
of the
upcoming
charges of the
meetings.
solid waste committee was to figure out how to lower the tonnage.
Yeah,
Right.
right. I remember.
Yeah, and Julia had mentioned that they had more info on that to
Yeah.
come, but
Okay.
that they were just presenting on
Got
the
it.
pay-as-you-throw recommendation.
The last thing is, we all got an email this afternoon, late, so you may not have a chance to look at it. The person does a very, good analysis here. North Yarmouth ended up spending 17 grand on camera equipment, for compliance. There are issues with the bags, or she's concerned about that, or he's concerned. And a couple of communities, Wyndham and Kennebunk, have dropped page.
Mhm.
No.
So why? I guess, was there some way to ask them,
Yeah.
was this analysis BS? Or you weren't supported well, or whatever it may be?
I have asked a bunch of friends from Cumberland, from Falmouth, from Wyndham, what their thoughts are on this, and everyone has been very positive with it, because I've asked all sorts, because I was very skeptical, and
Mhm.
so everyone's response has been bags are fine. I mean, granted, these are families or individuals who don't have a lot of trash, most
Mhm.
likely. So I can only assume it varies depending on.
Yeah, although
person.
Wyndham did drop it, I guess.
Yeah, I saw that
Yeah,
article
so-
too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I think could be a plethora of reasons why municipalities would drop it or not. But one thing I think we need to talk about is if we move away from tags, it's a decrease in revenue of $34,000 a year, and the contract itself, the increases because of the maintenance of the bins. So I feel that our trash tag revenue needs to at least take those two numbers, the increased contract cost of maintenance and the lost revenue, and at minimum break even to have a net impact. It just shifts the burden to people who use more trash are paying a larger proportion. People who use trash are paying a lower proportion. But at minimum, I think we want to say net flat. You know what I'm saying?
Not lose money.
Well,
Yeah.
then I may have made a bad assumption, because I assumed that, through the end of this fiscal year, we have a budget of, I forget what it is, Jerry, I'm sorry, 530, something, whatever, 50, 80, whatever. Are we now gonna find increases in 1st of April? that budget may not be good, that it
Mm-hmm.
may cost us more from
Well,
Casella, or are we good through?
That's a
fiscal
good
year?
question for Casella. When does the bin maintenance portion of the contract kick in?
Well, if you start it in April, then it'll be April.
Yeah, and so that's when they'll start adding that expense to
No,
their.
No, they won't, they'll start adding it July first, so it's roughly 80,000 for the bin management.
Mhm.
But if you start it in April, they're gonna charge you for April, May, and June after July first. So you're looking at about $101,000 for bin management in this
Mhm.
next budget if
Next
you
budget.
start.
Yeah, so they won't charge. It won't hit this budget, but they'll say we'll give you April, May, June on us. and then
prorated.
So
roll
that's
it
in addition to
Yeah.
the rate we pay. So technically, what we've been saying, they're gonna buy the bins, but.
Well,
we
they
are-
have
I
a
mean,
bin maintenance, and I mean
I
it's
know,
part
but
of their
aren't we
yeah.
buying the
Part of the
bins
bill.
then?
We're buying the
Yeah.
Yeah, and they maintain the trucks and all that sort of stuff. So the annual amount will go up by roughly 80,000, which isn't a surprise. It was part of their when they filled out their RFP. We knew the automated aspect was coming, and so in my mind, if it's going to be an extra $101,000 for management and a lost revenue of $40,000, $30,000, we need to be looking at a number that at minimum covers it.
The pay as you throw.
The pay as you throw system, rather than just saying, okay, we're just going to add that extra $140,000 as an expense and then do nothing to offset it. We're saying we're rolling that into the budget, and now we're adding a revenue line. And rather than it being distributed equally, that extra $140,000 being distributed equally across 2,500 households, it's being distributed in a manner representative of trash consumption per household. And I think
That's
that
really the
gives
fairest thing to
I think
do.
that makes it a little bit more equitable, and it gives people the opportunity to take a little bit more control over that expense in their life as opposed to just a flat fee. I mean, because I'm not concerned about my trash. Up until now, I throw out one container of trash a month. I now throw out 60 diapers a week, so it's different for me now. So I'll be paying a lot more for trash, which is okay. But I had a resident reach out to me. She said, I'm retired. I'm very frugal with my trash. I throw out one bag a week. I don't want to have to pay a new expense for all kinds of other bags. And I said, yeah, thank you for the feedback. We'll take this into consideration. So,
I think it's important to remember that 2 bids ago for trash, we had 2 bids. One was Casella and one was another company who didn't even own any trucks,
Right.
wanted to get into the business. We went with Casella and told the other company, start doing something. We're not gonna be your guinea pigs. And then this last time, it was only Casella and it was a take it or leave it. And if we had left it, we would not have had townwide pickup, for the last, what is it, 2 years or so?
yeah.
And so,
That's good.
it's not something that the select board, I think, ever wanted to do. And it was concerns, and it's why, the solid waste committee was charged with doing things. I agree. I don't think we can eat this cost. I think the cost for whenever we start through the end of this fiscal year is something we should look at coming out of the account and not adding to the taxes maybe as, but I think going forward, we have to do something. I think, coming together with a plan for the compost is extremely important. And it's something that we need to work with the solid waste committee to get done as quickly as possible. But, I get the concerns. But as soon as we start this, if we don't do tags or bag, I mean, we can't do tags. If we don't do bags starting whenever this starts, we're gonna be spending more money for 3 months that we might not otherwise have. And,
Yeah.
we're stuck.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess it's a choice. It's our own decision doing that the select board at that time, we thought that keeping the townwide trash pickup was better than not having it at all.
The town
And-
voted for that too.
And it was known at the meeting. We knew this was coming. And so
So let's just be clear, how much money will we lose if we allow residents to continue with tax until the start of new fiscal?
I don't think we can figure that out because it's gonna depend on how much extra trash people are throwing away.
Yeah, because you had a good point. If we say next 2 months, don't worry about tags, people start throwing away cinder blocks and TVs and all those sorts of things, it becomes a challenge.
Will we still have bulky waste day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I do think that the number of individuals who say, "Oh, now that I can throw away without a tag for the next month or two, I'm gonna, generate 500 pounds of trash weekly," would probably be pretty low.
Yeah.
I think most people would just say, "All right, I'm gonna throw out as expected," and then start using the bags when it kicks in.
Right, because people are gonna be paying the taxes on that.
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
Because it's not, there's no free lunch here when it comes to throwing it out. I just do think that we need to make sure that we set the bag price at a rate that offsets the increase of the annual expenditure for trash pickup. And the nice thing too is the contract price is going up, but if this decreases tonnage, that can build a little bit of
Mhm.
a cushion
Mm-hmm.
moving forward, and we'll just be able to monitor annually.
Yeah.
And so if it's about $101,000 plus a loss of $34,000 of revenue, that puts us at like $135,000 needed to cover that change in contract, which when we look at the sensitivity analysis to cover that amount, it would be a large bag, a 33-gallon bag of $2.85, and then a medium bag, which they're describing as a tall kitchen bag, which is similar to what you're using in your current trash can in your kitchen, of $1.71. If we went above that, it would be some additional revenue. So
But the bin fee doesn't kick in until what, 1 July, give or take?
right, but they're going to charge us for April, May, and June
They're
bin
just
fee.
prorating.
They're just prorating it.
We don't pay it till.
We don't.
Yeah.
So in our next budget, we'll have to accommodate 15 months of bin fees rather than just the 12-month of bin fees, because they're gonna say you don't owe us until you start next year.
It's probably better just to bite the bullet and implement the whole thing at the one time.
Yeah.
Bins, bags,
And
automation.
Yeah.
It just, it's gonna be a hard sell, cause
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of, the biggest thing I've got is what about my yellow tags? So
Mhm.
So, I mean, the cost savings, whatever it is,
Mhm.
is part of the sales effort.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Maybe you could submit all your old tags for a raffle and you win 6 months worth of new bags or something. I mean, that's something.
Yeah.
I just wanna make it, I think we just need to make it as easy as possible
Mhm.
and not store them in the town hall.
Well,
like
if
that.
people have a lot of extra tags, they probably didn't purchase them. They're just built up over time. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have 25 because you
Yeah.
got $3
I
a
agree
piece.
with
It's
that.
just like, I never use
Yeah, I
them
have
because I don't
5
use a
years
lot
of
of
tags
trash.
saved up. So I
Right.
use 10
Yeah.
tags
I
a year,
mean,
maybe.
Maybe we could do something like that. Turn them in. We'll give you a raffle ticket for every
Hmm.
tag you turn in, and we'll give you some free bags. I don't know.
Yeah. I will say I do think we've addressed the concern of bag thickness, because we talked to Waste Zero and they are very thick bags. And so if someone had a different experience, it sounds like that has been addressed for our town.
I'd like to actually see these bags. I mean, we talk about them, but there's nothing better than, okay, here's the small bag. This is how thick it is. And people can say, well, all right, if I have today, I put 3 bags like that in my bin with a $3 tag. Tomorrow, I'm
Mhm.
going to be paying, $6 for
Yeah.
all 3 of them and putting in a bin, or I'll just get a bigger one because 4 of them fit in a bigger one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some bags that are better than others
Oh,
as
yeah.
far as thickness, right?
Yeah.
Well, can you go to Hannaford and Topsom or Shaw's and Freeport and say, hey, can I see?
Yeah.
They have the bags out, right?
I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
sure.
they have
It's
Yeah.
the same,
bags.
it's the same bags.
Yeah.
Just different
right.
color.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's a fair,
You know what I mean?
I'm not sure, I don't need to see it. I mean, I
Mhm.
think,
Yeah.
that's,
I'm a visual.
Yeah, I understand. So we could ask them. So we've had a great discussion here about pay as you throw. Do people have questions for Casella? And then we can loop back. I mean, we can decide tonight if we want
Josh's
to.
question,
Yeah.
will they buy
Yeah.
him new bins if the bins that are provided up front get broke.
No, I think we need to know what roads are gonna go, what private roads or are they gonna go up and down? Because that's a question that I've got a lot. And what side of the street?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole 9 to 136, 125,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because she said, well, you know, what, we're supposed to do that, so. It
Yeah.
doesn't help Swamp
Well,
Road or,
And like I drove home on Route 9 and I drove the other day, I went through North Yarmouth and they had trash bins on both sides of the road. People were putting them at their driveway. And so like that to me is like, well, that's safer than this. So big question, because a lot of people have said that's a bigger bin than I normally use. But I have to drag it across the road. So what I have for questions is what happens if the bins break? What private roads are you going to go up and down? What side of the road are the bins going to be on? And what is the plan for 125, 136, and Route 9?
Okay, is there possibly an issue where, do we have some private neighborhoods where everybody, 8 houses or multiple houses are bringing all of their bins to the
Yeah,
end
it's
of the
private
entrance?
road.
That,
Very-
Or is that the
that's a
private road
question is,
issue?
as to what they're gonna do, because if you have, 3 feet between 20 bins, there's
Yeah.
not enough room. And you're gonna be asking someone to walk up the road. So I think that's how you handle that. And I understand the arm can reach up a driveway or up a private road or something.
Yeah.
But that's the big concern that I keep.
well, and they have said in the past, because this question came up with the planning board, that they will go into a private road subdivision as long as there's a turnaround at the
Mhm.
end. So I suspect we probably have old subdivisions that may not, they should, because it's more about fire than it
Yeah,
is
because most of
traffic.
them have the
The newer ones,
logger or
yes, I
T
would,
heads,
yeah,
yeah.
the newer ones, the 5 years I was on the planning board, there was
Mhm.
always a turnaround.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just somehow ID those risk areas and.
Well, we could ask Casella that because if they're supposed to do a drive around, right? They should probably have that answer. If here's the problems, here's not. So,
Oh, yeah, that's good.
so I'll formulate these questions, send them to Jerry so he can send to Casella, and then we can invite Casella in to answer these questions. But we can give them in advance to
Sure.
try to just make sure that they come prepared. I'd like to do that at a soonish meeting. So maybe see what their availability is, Jerry.
Yeah.
That works for me. Okay. Does that work for everyone else?
Yeah, so just again, so with the bags, because it is like a 6-week turnaround time and we're coming up pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what are we gonna do though? Because we're
I
not
mean-
gonna make the deadline then, if we wanna have the bags and maintain revenue.
I think we need to make a decision on the bags.
I don't
Yeah.
think we're gonna have enough time, yeah.
And so today is the 10th, so that puts us right at the beginning of April if we were to make a decision tonight for the bag turnaround. Which I think we need to do, So we've heard concerns from the community about costs, and our options are don't go with bags and roll the entire cost of the changes into the tax bill that everyone has to cover, or create this system so there's some variable charges depending on the amount of trash that you create. I'm a fan of the pay-as-you-throw system because it gives people a little bit more control over this expense and it doesn't spread it equally because it's a service that's used variably.
I am, except I can't wrap my hand around start date. Is it for the throw as you go stuff? Is it 1 April? Is it 1 May?
So the goal would be we give them the thumbs up and it's a 6-week turnaround time is kind of their minimum turnaround time. In my mind, if we vote to approve it, it would then be happening the same time as the
That's all.
automatic bag pickup. So it's
When is
all
that?
one.
That was just question.
Yeah.
We still don't have a set date as to when that's starting.
No, it's April something, right?
What's that?
The
The
Casella.
Casella, the automated bag pickup, what day? Has Casella given a hard date on when they want to start that?
Well, I believe it's April, they're gonna start the holiday.
I know that they had mentioned at last
Well,
meeting April 1st, but
Yeah, somewhere in there.
I would imagine they might give us a little bit of grace if we say, hey, we've started this pay-as-you-throw system. Can you wait until that's set up so we can begin that? If it's just another week or two.
Yeah, that's what they don't care about that.
Yeah.
And they don't care if you have tags. They don't even care if you have bags. Casella doesn't care one way or the other. They're
Yeah.
thinking what they want is they want to deliver the bins, put your trash in the bins. If you don't go with pay, so put them in sandwich bags. They don't care. They're just gonna dump it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you can do, I mean, Casella,
But they do want to be paid.
Yeah.
well, they do. They do. And so just keep in mind, that we gotta put a revenue line in the budget that
Mhm.
starts July 1st.
Yeah.
And so depending on what charge you do here across this sensitivity analysis will be what we put in for revenue.
Mhm.
Gotta understand, this isn't an exact science right now, because we don't have any town data.
Mm-hmm.
He's developing this based on the numerous towns they've worked with in the past. So at some point, you have to choose, if you're gonna go with pay as you throw, then you have to choose one of these here, so we can put it in the budget.
Right.
Yeah. And so
If you're
that's
gonna
what's in front of
continue
us
with the
tonight.
tags, with the bins, Casella doesn't care, that's you all.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, you're only making 30,000 on the tags, and you're increasing your budget by 80% just for the bin
Or
management.
80,000.
Plus, they're going up 5% every year on their hauling. So, you gotta,
I mean,
you gotta get your heads wrapped around this and start making some decisions because time's running out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I really think that the 180 a bag for a tall kitchen is the way to go. It gives $150,000 of revenue, which can be used to offset the $80,000, $101,000 expense for the management fee and offset the lost revenue of $34,000, and try to accommodate for increase in hauling fees.
And two, I just wanna make this clear too. By going with pay as you throw, the data up there suggests that the tonnage will come down.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that'll reduce your hauling cost. I don't need you to make a decision tonight before we put it in the budget. Cause it's just a revenue line.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest that you take this home, look at it, and if you have questions, come see me, and then I can kind of like go over it with you, and then when you meet again next time, you'll kind of maybe have a better idea how this works instead of trying to all figure it out right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
No, I mean, we can table it if folks want to table it.
Yeah, go with 1 May, or, I mean, after next
Mhm.
time we meet or so.
right.
So just a question, something you said in terms of what Casella picks up. Can we require them not to, as long as that they can see a tag, can we require them not to pick up a bag unless they see a tag for X amount of months or weeks or whatever it might be?
I can bring the rep in here, we can ask her, but what I've heard is there's no more people on the trucks other
Right.
than the driver, so the driver's gonna have to see the tag.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just not gonna care
But
at
he
that
will
point.
see, but how is he gonna necessarily see the bag?
He's not.
So the bag system, there's two options. They said that at last meeting, they said that you can choose to go with a camera and an AI system, but that Waste Zero also comes out and does spot checks where they follow the trucks around and look for the proper colored bag. And they said that they generally have pretty good compliance, but that there needs to be something in place if there's a failure of compliances. There needs to be an action to be put in place. So
Yeah. Let me try to
No,
so
I
you're talking
understand.
we're talking two different things. So Casella's going to an automated system. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need to
Mhm.
know about
Yeah.
that, right? So the question then becomes, what does the town want to do as far as paying for that system? So pay as you throw, the data shows that if you go with this program, the more garbage you use, the more you pay. The less you use, the less you pay. And depending on what you're gonna choose for charging your residents will determine what that revenue is. Okay, so that's kind of like a different discussion. The Casella thing's all set. You don't really have a whole lot of decisions or, I mean, I suppose you have questions. I mean, the private road stuff and all that. I mean, they've talked about it before.
Yeah, they're two separate entities.
Could we-
It really is.
Can we articulate how much each resident pays from their taxes to the waste pickup? Like, am I paying $150 a year? Is it $500? Like, every resident pays the same rate that goes into that budget for that
Sure.
With the
piece.
current system.
Sure, and I think Calvin may have brought that to the solid waste committee, because I think right now what
I
you're
think we had
paying.
the total. I think
So
we
you-
had the total, but
Right
not
now you're
necessarily
paying
per
about
resident.
420,000 a year, roughly. 400, let's call it 400. That's basically what you're paying right now for 12 months. That number you was talking about is an 18-month budget.
Oh,
Okay, so
thank you. That's
four
right.
hundred divided by
By
the number of
1,700.
residents.
Well,
By 1700.
It's not really
residents,
divided by the number of residents.
Household.
The way you would figure it out is
Household, yeah.
what percentage is 400,000 of the total budget? If it's 1%, then 1% of your tax bill is going towards that because it's variable because of
Oh,
the way
is that-
tax.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yeah. I think that
Okay.
would be like good for us to articulate, you know. Because to the residents, it's all about what's coming out of my pocket. What is this costing me? Now you're making me go pay $3 a tag. Why do I have to do that? You know, we need to be able to explain that. And I think this
So-
pay as you throw is,
So the pay-as-you-throw program is a strategy to reduce tonnage.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
To
understand.
bring that down. That's the answer, right? That's why you're
So
buying the
real
bags.
quick, $12 million budget, $400,000 is 3% of that budget. So 3% of your tax bill is what goes towards taxes.
Mm.
So
Is
goes
what
towards
the
trash,
trash.
yeah.
Roughly, yeah.
So if you have
Thank you
a
for correcting me. but-
$5,000 tax bill, you can
Yeah.
you can figure that out. So
Yep.
$150.
$150, right? And
Good
so
deal.
$150, someone takes care of your trash every week.
Right.
And so
The more you use, the more you pay.
yeah, and this is just saying that now, if you use more, you're paying more. If you use less, you're paying less. And I like it because it gives you some control over your expense. You know,
So other, or everybody's goes up from 3% to 4% or something, and everyone's equally goes up to offset all these.
yeah.
costs.
If it's a
also-
$12 million
Yeah.
budget and it goes up to $500,000, divided by 12. That
Which
means
is not
now
good.
4.2% of your
Right.
tax bill goes towards trash. So you're seeing
Everybody's. bill
everyone's
go to
goes up,
4%.
whereas
Right.
I'm seeing discussion around people saying that they want some control over their trash.
no,
So
I'm-
yeah, no, I'm not
Good deal,
I'm not
yeah.
disagreeing with you, but and those are just round figures,
Right.
obviously. But
We're kind of running, I recommend we postpone, what we make a
Yeah.
decision on.
Yep.
7/24, whatever that day is.
the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No checking out.
So motion to table, or so we'll just, it's not even tabling. We were tonight's goal was to have a discussion.
Mhm.
And so now we can just say, we're gonna make a decision on pay as you throw and bag
the
prices
next
at the next meeting.
Yep.
So I don't think we even need a motion. We can just move along.
Yeah.
Josh, you
Can
got
we just
something?
talk about how we're gonna make up the loss? What we're losing in revenue, if, we don't make a decision, we can't get the bags or beforehand. Because if it's 6 weeks, this puts us in the middle of April, and if they start April 1st, we'll have a couple weeks, and so,
Yeah, so one of the questions I'm gonna send to Jerry to send to Casella is just ask Casella if they can hold off until we get the bags, knowing that it's a 6-week turnaround time and we're gonna decide at the end of February. So we'd be asking them, can you hold off till May 1 to do automated because we need to get our ducks in a row?
if I'm Casella, I'm gonna say, and lose money paying for the second person on your truck, and just having this new truck sit here.
Yeah, so I mean, we
Or maybe they recognize that it's a
Well, they do the
challenge to
bin
roll
and
out.
we use the old,
Yeah.
I'm fine with, if we need to make a decision. I'm not sure.
or they use the bin, and for the first 2 weeks of the bins, there's no, it's anarchy for trash throwing, and then the
Yeah,
bags
I
kick
mean-
in. I mean,
And that's what I was trying to get to is like, do we want to have a decision that starts on day one, or do we want to say we're okay if this doesn't start on day one, if Casella doesn't work with us.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
right, do we really think we're not going to do the bags? Maybe we vote on, yeah, we'll do the bags, but we just don't, we'll figure out the cost at the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we're all in agreement that we have to do the bags.
so that's a good point, Deb. We could make a motion tonight that we're gonna go with pay-as-you-go throw, but we're gonna set the bag fee next meeting. So you can let the person know to start the process. I mean, we're gonna have to set the bag color and those sorts of things too.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's,
I'm fine with doing all of it, and just be done with it.
yeah, I'm fine to vote on it too, but whatever folks, or if folks wanna wait on the dollar amount,
no,
And we
let's
just-
just do it, get it over with right now.
so do we have a motion?
I just don't know what the dollar amount on the
Yeah,
bags.
I-
That's,
the
I
dollar
mean,
amount is-
I, frankly, I do the,
Well, $3 doesn't bother me because that's what we're doing now.
But
Right,
we're
that's,
doing
You know, for
$3
26, it bothers me. I mean, I'd
Yeah,
love
yeah.
it
Oh,
to
it
be a lot
bothers me,
less, but
okay.
that's what we're doing now for extra tags.
And I think one thing that we're talking about here is the goal here is not like we're trying to build excess revenue off the back of trash throwing. It's we're trying to build a model that covers the expense, which has increased, and just fund it rather than flat across everyone, fund it at a variable rate based off of trash usage.
Right.
So, I mean, I know that, you know, the messenger's gonna get shot, and that's us. But at the end of the day, it's you all elected to still have trash pickup, and this is what it costs. And so we're telling you that this is how it's gonna have to be paid for. Now, if you're upset about that number, if you're upset about the cost of trash pickup, and the only other option would be to get rid of trash pickup, you know.
And then if you throw out a bag every week, it's $156 that you're not paying now.
Yeah, and
It's an additional.
and I understand one of the things is, well, I get a $3 trash tag, or is it $2 or $3 for the trash tag? $3 trash tag, but now I have to pay $3 per bag. But again, that $3 bag is 33 gallon with like a 3 mil bag. That thing is that's a lot of trash.
that's the size of like one of the leaf bags.
Yeah,
Contractor
Right,
bag?
contractor.
yeah,
Thank you.
more like a contractor bag. So like, that's a lot of trash. It's not $3 for a little you know, garbage pail, you know. So it makes
Here for my
sense.
logic of seeing the bag.
Yeah.
I can bring one in from my
Mhm.
house.
Oh, yeah. You
But-
pay $1 bag? In Brunswick?
Well, don't quote me on this, cause I don't pay attention when I'm swiping my groceries. I
Okay.
buy what I want, I put it in the bag and I go
Okay.
home,
Hmm.
so. But the last time I swiped, well, not the last time, one time when I swiped the roll, it was, $10 for 12 bag, it was $10. It was $12 for 10 bags, so
Oh.
$1.20 a bag.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
And I do the small kitchen bags, I don't do the big ones,
Mhm.
I just, the bags in a little,
Mhm.
underneath my counter in
Oh.
my house, and that's where I put my garbage, but
Yeah.
I also recycle. So like me and my wife, we put one bag out every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Two of us. So for us, it's $1.20 every 2 weeks. That's what cause that's what one bag is. So I put out 2 bags a month, cost me $2.40.
Mhm.
And that was a nice discussion, but the other challenge to a lot of people is where do you keep your bin? You know, like for me, it's a long haul, so that's just gonna come up. I mean, it's already coming up is where do I keep my bin?
Mhm.
And how do I get it down to the road?
But people are doing that now, anyways. They got to keep their current trash can somewhere and bring their current
That's what
trash
I-
can to the
take
end of the road.
I, for one, just take it out of the trash can, put it in the back of my truck and leave it on the road.
Oh, you don't use a trash container?
Just during the week, on Thursday, I haul it out, put a
Mhm.
tag on
Oh.
it and drive it down there.
Oh, I see. So now you have to use a.
Yep.
Big.
Yeah.
So I gotta do some.
Okay, what are we doing?
Yeah. All right. Do we have a motion? Well, I'll make a motion that we approve trash bag price of $3 for large bag and $1.80 for medium bag to and then have Jerry budget a net annual revenue of $150,195. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Josh. Any discussion? I just want to note that the reason I picked that number is because I think that we need to make sure we're adequately covering the increased cost in trash pickup. That extrapolation, that this number extrapolates that with a little bit of wiggle room of $15,000 or so. And we can reevaluate annually once we start getting some Durham specific data but the intent here is not to make money off of people. It is to cover the trash expense. So that's all I'll have to say.
Can we make sure that the meeting minutes on this topic are very clear with
Yeah.
that? Instead of just like we approved, the pay-as-you-throw program.
Yes, I can come in and we can sit down and do a little bulleted
Yeah,
one
I think-
one fact sheet on this, if that
Yeah.
works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because minutes are actions.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want additional
Yeah,
information.
I'll come in and talk with you
Yeah,
about
an
it.
attachment or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
So, any other discussion?
We gotta decide what they say, put our faces on them.
Yeah, well, my joke last meeting was
Who
sell
made the
the average.
motion?
Your-
Okay,
So do we have we should vote on the motion here, but
Yes.
all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. I was only half joking last meeting when they said they can print anything on there. Can we sell the advertising rights to the bag and someone prints their logo on there and pays us? But all right, so next meeting we're gonna have to decide things like color, what's on there for
Are we moving off that topic? I think it's a good idea, and we should explore, if there's anything we need to do to get that, or ask for that, or, because.
Oh, we just need we probably just need a sponsor, because the guy said they'll put whatever we want on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
we-
mean, I think
And
it's
we can also
outside
do
the box
seal.
thinking, but
No, he was saying, because we could do the seal, but you can also get sponsored content.
Right, because if someone's gonna say, hey,
Yeah.
that's.
He said they'll
I'm trying to
print
do the
whatever
math.
we want.
I'm trying to do the math. That's like 5,000 bags with my logo on it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that worth, maybe not worth $150,000, but it's worth a good chunk of that. We could lower the price of the bags. So I think it's a good idea. We should figure out how
Put
to,
a call out to local businesses.
Maybe
in Durham.
Hannaford, since we're gonna sell the bags at Hannaford.
And Hanford's got a new competition
I think
in
it'd be
town.
better to, solicit local Durham businesses like a landscaping company or real estate agent or
Yeah.
somebody.
I think we should confirm with the pay-as-you-go Waste
Yeah.
Zero guy that that's an option. I just mentioned the last time. You go, I don't care. You can print anything you want on there. I don't know how much he has really thought about that. But either way, we can add that as a question. So, all right.
Or Mary, could you just
go ahead.
contact the guy and see if it's true that we can put anything we want, and then you can send us an email, and then we can figure out what we're gonna do at the next meeting.
Yeah, Jerry and I can email him. So.
Whatever you like.
So do we have to decide on color? I mean, the reason why we voted on this now is so we can get the bag.
So we
open
can
moving?
tell them we need the bags. We can tell them we have something to budget with.
Okay.
I would guess that we can probably wait till color and
if we need to choose a color, can we defer to Jerry and they're gonna
Yeah,
tell us,
Jerry
here are the
can-
colors options,
Yeah.
and,
Mhm.
I mean,
I put my full-hearted trust into that.
Can Jerry
Right,
pick
you
the
want-
color?
Hot pink.
You don't want blue because you're right by Brunswick.
yeah,
We went
Blue is
different.
Brunswick,
I
so
thought
I don't.
Josh's
know what
hot pink or blaze orange works, but
I like
I'll
orange.
figure it out.
so then it's
Uh,
very obvious if we're
they'll
not
know.
using the bag.
They'll know like who has the color around us, and then I'll just give you all options, what's left.
Yeah, so
Okay.
maybe if you just go talk to them about
Yeah,
this, tell them we're gonna move
yeah.
through, and then if they have follow-up info they need from us, we can talk about it.
I'll take care of that.
Thanks.
All right, next thing here, item D, consider transfer of appropriations between budget line items, and the motion would be to exercise the authority granted under Article 39 of the 2024 town warrant and approve the transfer of $2,363 from Public Works budget to debt services line item, thereby resolving an over expenditure and ensuring no over expenditures remain in the 2024 fiscal year audit. Jerry, could you add any background info there for
So
us?
you have that, so this is coming right out of your audit, the audit's almost done. And I'm just recommending you do this before it's done, so it's everybody's,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
But just in terms of background information here, it's moving money from Public Works to pay a debt service line.
Yeah, so, all right, so background, so we miscalculated what the interest was on our debt. So
Mhm.
it was $2,363 less, so we had to pay more than what we budgeted.
Mm-hmm.
We basically used the last audit's utilization schedule, and it wasn't accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's what we used, so we were short. So to fix that, you have an article, a warrant article in the 24 where you can move up to 5% from other budget lines. So you could take it out of public works. They got 32,874 left. And you can take that 2,363, like you said, put it towards debt services. That makes that zero. Then you have no over expenditures in the audit.
I will make a motion with reading this to exercise the authority granted under Article 39 of the 2024 town warrant and approve the transfer of $2,363 from the public works budget to the debt service line item, thereby resolving an over expenditure and ensuring no over expenditures remain for the 2024 fiscal year audit.
All right, John has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
So excellently worded motion, John.
I commend
you. Just say
I
thank you.
commend whoever wrote this, so.
Any questions on the motion?
The only thing that's gonna change is the net change, essentially the fund balance. That's gonna go down by $2,363, right?
No, no, it all stays the same because you're just taking the money out of public works. It just, so you're making it whole, won't change the fund balance.
No. Because Public Works had that
Well,
amount of money available to,
right, but there was the variance of 69,000. Okay, never mind. Oh,
Yeah.
Is the surplus in the public works mostly due to being understaffed?
No, because that was this year's 2024.
Yeah, this is 2 years.
Oh.
Or a year and a half.
yeah, the audits take some time, and so it's always like a 2 cycles behind.
Oh,
This was just the 30, what he had left in his budget. Could have been a number of different things. Could have been
Slightly
little bit
lower,
paid,
paving,
I see. Okay.
less
All right.
overtime than expected, those sorts of things.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Committee appointment, we have a committee appointment. I lost my paper here. For, here we are, sorry. Sorry, I got it right here now. Interested in serving on the solid waste committee, has a lot of experience with agriculture, or sorry, with, as a professional engineer in dealing with landfill closure, solid waste permitting, erosion, sedimentation control, etc. Does anybody, want to make a motion?
Before I do, I think we have to make a motion for which committee.
Oh, sorry, I thought it said,
It says either or.
oh, I'm sorry, I thought it said solid waste committee on here.
So.
I think the solid waste committee has an opening right now, whereas the
They do.
agriculture
Okay.
committee.
I will make a
does not.
motion that we approve J%.
Jack,
Is it an alternate position?
It would be an
To be an alternate on the solid waste committee.
John has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
And there's no openings on the agriculture committee at all?
I called, Jonah, we should ask him tonight to ask what, because we have 6 members listed on the website. None of them say alternate, so I don't know if they did 7 and 9, or if they did 5 and one of those is supposed to be an alternate, he never got back to me. So I'm not quite sure on their count.
Well, and the reason I like the solid waste committee is, we're still maybe considering a transfer station. And I
Yeah,
think
the resume.
His
Yeah.
resume, his expertise would work well.
That stood out to me as well, John. Yeah.
So-
Only one comment I will say, it's really nice. We've seen a lot of new names
Yes.
volunteering for stuff, and that's awesome. So all in favor of the motion? Any opposition? Seeing none, passes unanimously to the solid waste committee.
So just a question, because if it comes back, if the agricultural committee has no alternates and he is still interested in joining, will he have to resubmit an application?
I read the application as he said, I'm interested in joining one of these 2 committees.
Whatever.
Please consider
Okay,
my
I think
application,
we
and
can
that we're
follow
kind of
up.
plugging him in or them in wherever they choose, wherever we choose. So
Oh, fine.
if they came back and said, I just can't handle solid waste, please give me ag, we
Get
can,
me something else.
we can do something else. All right, manager report, Jerry.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Got a couple of things here, a few things. So we, full capacity at Public Works now. We hired a a gentleman by the name of Aslan Blake.
Hmm.
So he started February 2nd, I think that was last week, so, pretty excited about that. He's of the younger generation, so it's good to get some youth in the department, so it's, we welcome him aboard and hopefully he does well. So the IRS, remember, we had that issue of
Yeah.
they want their money, so we just paid $25,230 penalty for not submitting the right or not submitting the W-3 forms for the 2022 payroll. So,
Yeah, a little background on that. So prior to Jerry's start, the previous administrator or manager left at a time when paperwork needed to be sent to the IRS to show who was working here and check a couple boxes. That paperwork didn't get sent. They came knocking for the funds 4 years later, last year, to the tune of $75,000.
close to the 80, yeah.
80-ish. Jerry brought it up to our board last year and submitted some paperwork to say, here's the reason why. Can you consider waiving it? And they came back and said, we'll reduce it. And so, unfortunately, we're just stuck holding the bag of a mistake made prior to anyone in this room's involvement in the municipality. So,
Well, it's good that it got reduced
Yeah,
yeah.
by a lot.
yeah. So we no longer have a cleaner, so we're gonna kind of post that. It's like 10 hours a week, so we're not gonna really go to like MMA or anything like that. So we're gonna put it on our news blast and the website and ask around. It's it's pretty flexible hours. They clean the town office, public works, and the Eureka when that needs it. So just thought I'd let you know that we don't fund a lot for it. So it's getting a service is really expensive. So if we can find somebody that's just looking for a little side hustle
Yeah,
to
that's nice.
clean, that would be the best road to go. So, all right. So the $75,000 grant that we received, that project is pretty much underway. We're ready to go. All right. So George and I have talked about that. So this is an economic development for planning. Okay. So George and I are gonna recommend to this board that you get a interim economic development committee. All right, and it's a really important committee because economic development is, the town doesn't really have any. This is a opportunity to see how to plan for it, to see if the residents want this to happen. And so this committee really needs to be, what we're recommending is the committee be made up of one person from the select board, one person from the planning board, one from the ag committee, and one from the conservation commission, and one community member at large that has some sort of business background or community, if you can get it. Again, this is probably one of the more important. All committees are important, but economic development is.
Yeah.
We really need to get this right.
Yeah.
Okay, so sooner we do this, hopefully we can have something to bring to the town meeting in 2027.
Mhm.
So that's what we're recommending, those five. And those five will work with the Greater Portland Council of Governments because they'll be kind of leading this planning study.
Mhm.
Okay, so they'll work with them and hopefully get some public participation going. Hopefully get some people involved that have some land use experience, that type of stuff.
Mhm.
So we're recommending that. Okay,
Yep. Can you put that on agenda item for us at one of our upcoming meetings? You and I can talk about that.
yes. Okay.
I will say economic development has been a huge discussion over the last couple of years because we understand that our ability to generate revenue for municipal expenses has been pretty limited to just property tax. So
It's right. It's an opportunity to get something going that's gonna, add take some taxes burden off the residents,
Right.
some sort of tax other base going.
Mhm.
And it's gonna take some time. So this project, even though it's 75,000, it could take 18 to 24 months.
Mhm.
There's a lot of work and research that has to go on, so, but it's a start. At least now the town is starting to talk about it,
Mhm.
which I think is really important.
Yeah.
Okay. Lastly, the code office issued a notice of violation for the pit up here on 1104 Hollowell Road.
Mhm.
For the what?
For the gravel pit
Oh,
up
yeah.
here on 1104 Hollowell Road. The violation is a conditional use violation. Their condition of use was that they had to keep that pit within 5 acres. So the Department of Environmental Protection went up there and inspected it. And they are now excavating 19.8 acres approximately. So what they're gonna have to do is within 14 days of getting that letter, the date of that letter, they get in touch with George to talk about how they can come into compliance. So how they can do it, there's really a couple ways they can do it. One's probably not that viable, but one way they can do it is they can go in front of the planning board and get an amended conditional use. So they can go through that process. That's how they can get that done. So they'll have to apply and go through that whole process. The other way is that they can bring it back to the 5 acres and reclaim the other area outside of that. They got like 30 days to do this. So the reclaiming the outside of the 5 acres mid-February ain't gonna happen. They just can't, there's no way they can do it. So hopefully we'll see how they react to the letter and see if they.
What date was it issued?
Well, it got mailed today and certified. So I'm not sure if the code officer put today's date or if he ran it yesterday and it's got that date, but
Is there a penalty fee?
there could be. If they don't, we gotta see how
Oh.
this plays out. There could be,
Mhm.
absolutely. So that's all I got for you.
Thanks,
Just a
Barry.
question.
Thank you.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, the treasury, the 25, 26,000, where's that, what line is that coming out of?
That comes right out of your general fund.
Okay,
Mhm.
reserve, what do you want to call it?
Yeah, that's all that.
I
Yeah,
think we could discuss moving around things with the contingency fund.
If you,
If we
you
wanted to
have
talk about that, we have a $50,000 contingency fund for unexpected.
That's a reserve too, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was designed for if there's an unexpected, unpredictable expense. And so we could talk about that. I mean, it comes out of revenue, but then you gotta backfill that
well,
for general funds. You gotta backfill that general
well,
fund.
just like here in 2024, Public Works had 32,000 left in their budget, so you might be able to not even touch it contingency. We'll see how that, what you
Yeah.
have for money left over.
With the vacancies, there should be,
Yeah, right, but with those vacancies.
there's overtime, but.
Well, not with that, but those vacancies were over such a period of time that to get people to even come here, we had to offer them more money.
Mhm.
So that chewed up some of that vacancy money when it wasn't getting hit.
So if,
So we don't know how it's gonna shake out until the year is over, when everything gets reconciled.
and so that, if that's the case, then you would need, if there's not enough money to cover that expense out of general funds, you would need to come to us and ask for us to approve an expenditure out of the contingency fund to cover
But
it.
there's a lot of money in the general fund, right?
There is, right, and so that's where it's.
No, you're thinking the undesignated fund balance. This
It's the
is,
same, it's kind of the
Yeah.
same idea though.
Yeah.
To me, a rose, I've
Right.
lost track of a rose here on that one,
Mhm.
but
So you're gonna have options, but we don't know where we're gonna land until the budget is over, so there will be options, you may not have to hit that.
but you gotta write a check to tomorrow for.
The checks, yeah, right, it's already written.
It's up against something.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna, I mean, we can't wait, I mean, it's the IRS.
Yeah.
Before we move on, Jared, did you get any feedback from the safety representative who was here?
I haven't,
Okay.
he
Who's-
reached out to me and wanted to know if there was if it was recorded, so he could make good on what he was gonna say,
Mhm.
bring to us. So
Mhm.
I sent him the link to the
Oh.
meeting, and I
So,
I
good on his part. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you for answering that.
So thank you, Jerry. Board member reports real quick so we can wrap this up on time. Just a note to people. I saw that a resident of the community has taken it upon themselves to run all of the transcript of all of our meetings through artificial intelligence to generate a kind of action report after meeting so it can talk about everything that was discussed. And they're having it automatically turned into a Spotify file, so you can now listen to a robot read off the summary of all of our select board meetings every week on Spotify. And so I think it's great that someone's taken that upon themselves. They also have published on a shared public drive the AI overview of the last 7 or 8 meetings, and I took a quick review, and it seems like really good note taking. And I listened to the Spotify episode of our Durham AI news coverage, and it was pretty accurate. I would just always tell people with AI, verify. And so I'm gonna take it upon myself to listen to them every week and just double check to make sure that everything comes across as well. But they made it very clear that they intend for this to just be a facts and figures, basic, no spin. Here's what happened. Other thing I just want to say really quickly is fire department's been working their butt off. 2 structure fires in the last 2 weeks. One in Durham, one mutual aid, and the one in Durham required a ton of mutual aid fighting fire at 0 degrees in middle of February at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's not easy for anybody, and Chief and the folks over there have done a great job. And I just want to say we got a handwritten note thanking the fire and rescue for them responding to a call on Thanksgiving Day. First time they've ever had to call services while living here in Durham. And they were just floored by the professionalism of the staff and the fact that they showed up leaving their families on Thanksgiving to come help somebody out. And they just wanted to say that they really appreciate the care and the service that they received. So I just wanted to make sure we publicly acknowledge that. And other than that, I have nothing else. Josh?
Nope.
Deb?
I did attend the funeral services for Peter Lowe, who
Mm-hmm.
is a 50-year member of the Durham Fire and Rescue Group. It was very well attended, and our town representatives and volunteers. It's a really moving service, and it was very nice.
Thank you. Deb? Rebecca?
No.
John?
Nope.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
No motion.
Rebecca, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Deb, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none. We have several upcoming meetings, which I won't read off. Any need for an executive session? Seeing none, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That's from John. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Rebecca, any questions or discussions? All in favor? All opposed? seeing none, passes unanimously. All right, let's just get our signatures here.